Hey, what's up, everybody? Oh, why am I not seeing any? I think we're good. Yeah. As always, let us know. So we're good. I'm also using the mic that comes through a little louder, which I've noticed actually will be not too loud, but will actually distort. So if it needs to be turned down a little bit, let me know. Anyways, we're back with Andrew, Party Size Cycling again.
Hey, and I'm using the microphone to touch my camera because my other one's out of batteries. So we're audio issues abound tonight, I'm sure.
Yeah. I've only been doing this for 6 years. I swear to God, but I've watched people who are really pros, and it's always something with live streams. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, and as an extra fun, we didn't get to talk about this before, but we're having like the storm of the century out here right now. There's
Oh, really?
We'll see how the power of the internet holds up. We've had a couple little brownouts so far, but yeah, it's there's already flooding and a lot of other stuff going on in the area. We're up on the hill. We're okay.
Yeah, we had that this morning. It came through pretty hard. I saw Albert, who I ride bikes with, his coffee shop was closed for a couple hours downtown Akron. I just don't lose power here because I think I'm on a main street and there's just not a lot of trees to take the lines down. And I think maybe there's some redundancy as well too. So
Johnny and I subscribed to the channel.
I remember I had a friend who was on the same grid as a hospital, so they were always the first to get power back. So after Hurricane Sandy, which put our area out of power, we were out for over a week. It was like basically we get up in the morning and then feed, like we had a cat at the time, and then like make sure the cat was all right, and then we would drive to their house and just hang out and watch TV. Like spent the week. basically camped on their couch because they had heat and all sorts of stuff. So it was fun.
Wes said, cool bike shop, Andrew. Super stoked for you. Yeah.
No, thanks.
I also have some photos I'm going to share with you. I've got them edited. I just keep forgetting to share them as I've been busy, and I want to post to Instagram as well too from when I visited. So yeah.
Oh, you know what? On your shop front, are you any closer to like doing online orders or anything like that? Because I've had so many people that I've talked to be interested in your funky film offerings, but obviously being out of here.
A couple of your friends have reached out to me, DM'd me on Instagram actually. So
Cool.
I haven't yet, but one good thing that happened is there's this younger guy who comes in. I say younger, he's probably in his 20s, but because he said he graduated high school right after the pandemic. So, but he's always like really interested in everything. And then before he left last week, he said, I was going to ask, are you interested in any help around here? And I'm like, I am. I just don't think I can afford it. And so he was like, well, I've got a job. I'm not really looking for a bunch of money. So I said, well, maybe we could figure out a trade, because that's what, he wants to learn more stuff. He wants to be involved. And, and if you want to learn how to develop film, I've got tons of film to develop. So it's like a really good way to learn instead of just shooting your own. And so so he was going on vacation this week. I'm going on vacation next week. And so I told him, when you get back, let's chat about it, so that might be the thing that changes it. So right now I'm not doing anything online. And I also have some cameras that I know would go for way more online than I could sell them here in Cuyahoga Falls. But right now I like to have the stock for the customers who do come in. So, so if this kid starts helping out and then I can do more hours and I had the ability to do more stuff, then that would be the way, then it'd be a possibility. But right now it's like just to manage that and do my other stuff and do the YouTube, like the idea of shipping out like film as well is a little overwhelming. So, and I'm just not I'm already trying to manage the inventory for the store for the first time, which is unique. So it's taken a little while to get used to what people buy. And then if someone comes in and buys 5 rolls of something that no one else has bought that I don't stock a lot, and then I have that gap for a few days before it gets back in. So yeah, I've decided that it wasn't worth starting out doing that, but yeah, with a little help, that would become a possibility and maybe a necessity, even letting people mail in film, because people have asked that too, because my prices are good, but I would need help to be able to do that. Because if it started coming in and I got overwhelmed, then my whole goal of having a quick turnaround time becomes, now I'm sitting in a basement developing, nonstop, and that's not,
Yeah, fair enough. I figured I'm glad the folks that I recommend reach out to you.
Yeah, it's cool. It's nice to be able to explain it. Like, hey, if you see something really specific that you can't get somewhere else, let me know. I was like, right now, the only thing I'd really be saving you on is like maybe a tiny bit of the shipping, but because my prices are pretty much what everyone sells stuff for. Unless some people are interested in the unique and expired stuff that I have too, which this is probably where more of the interest online was from. But
yeah.
Anyways,
well, we have somebody. My last camera talk. My friend Christian shot a bunch of. I guess it's Super 8.
Yeah.
And he actually rigged it up to his handlebars and went on a ride, waiting for that to get developed, and we'll see how that comes out. So that was. Shaky is my guess. That's our guess as well. The footage in the store came out cool. I just haven't figured out like what to use it for, because it's like so short and like sort of disjointed. So I supervising. I'm gonna try to post some of that this week. Anyway.
Yeah, doing movie film is any kind of motion picture film. Man, that's a thing.
Yeah. Christian did too. I'm sure he's one of the people that has reached out to you. If would be my guess, but he's done some really cool pinhole photography projects and stuff like that. There's a lot of interesting photo stuff. So he's thrilled when he wanted to shoot some stuff in the store.
I think you could probably relate, and so this will also tie into, just before we get into the main topic, just what's up with the shop. But I find so one thing is like, I want to have the shop. I want to talk about photos. I like talking to people come in, but I don't want it to ruin my love for photography. I want to still go out and do projects and shoot film and have fun with it. And is that a line you worry about with having now a shop and stuff, is that it would take away that you won't be able to go out and ride your bike when you want to, or anything like that?
I mean, having a desk job, I really couldn't go out and ride my bike whenever I wanted to. There are some weekend rides, like everybody did this a beach ride on Saturday that obviously I couldn't go to, so I know I miss out on some stuff. But I started up a Wednesday morning ride that we usually had like 5 people on. I don't know what like people do, but I do know what they do. But it's just like surprised whether we can get 5 people together. So that's gonna be a thing. We moved the other ride to Thursday. And that means if I have nothing going on Friday, I can also ride Friday myself also, but I don't have to. So I had coffee outside. So I'm back to like 3 to 4 days a week now. So it's getting like, now that things are kind of settled down a bit, I still have a lot of like online work to do, but like the shop, we have our routines, we have our stuff, like it's humming along. Like, I feel like I'm able to get out and ride more, and I have the energy for it. So I feel like just in the last week or two, I'm back to getting enough rides in every week.
Cool. Yeah, it's one thing I've considered this summer. It's like I've still been riding a lot, but then other like hobbies like my garden this year is not very tended to. You know what I mean? Like there's like little things that definitely had to give to be able to like do this, and riding is one thing I'm not that willing to compromise on. So it's like
Sure.
So it's like other things kind of go a little bit by the wayside. But Dave's actually not down here right now because we started a project in one of the apartments because the tenant is not here right now, and it's that kind of stuff where it's like, well, I would have had all day to get that stuff done now, but it's like no, I was open 12 to 4, and I don't know. I could do like the ring doorbell and like ring me if you want to come in, but I think of myself as someone who's not as outgoing when it comes to that, and then I'm like, I would just walk away. So I don't want to.
No, I think that'd be fun. Like a little doorbell, like ring for service.
Yeah, we'll see.
There's a bike shop in a town over here called Frenchtown that was like essentially all like that, especially after the pandemic, I guess. They finally closed, but it was you would like ring the door, like he would come out to you, get what you like, tell him what you wanted, then he'd go back in and like bring it back out. But then you had to give him the money, and then he'd go back in, and then he'd bring it back. It was like a whole ordeal. But yeah, this is not.
Yeah, one of the labs the last good lab in Akron that developed film became like that during the pandemic. Then he stopped doing film, and he was just the guy I got prints from, and then it started to become such a hassle, and then he wasn't always answering the phone, and I could tell he was already trying to retire. And I started, then I found out like a mutual friend, the one who does my graphic designs, mentioned another friend of ours who does prints, and she had online ordering forms, and I do everything online. And then she sent me a direct email like, hey, like this is, if you want to come pick it up, but I could also drop it off, or if you want it mailed. And I was like, 2026, I love that dude. He used to develop my film. He used to run film twice a week, but times have changed. Like, got someone younger who I could like upload my photo and not have to walk out a door, walk back again. Like, cash or card, and then like, yeah. So,
sorry, the cats are going nuts.
Oh yeah, the kittens. This guy he was yelling at me before we started, and now he's just passed completely out. He's got his like arms out like this. So, yeah. So to jump into the topic, if you're ready.
Yeah, I'm ready. Always ready to chop it up about music.
Yeah, which I'm thinking I mean, there's so many directions to go, but you initially texted me like, what do you listen to when you ride? And I'm like, oh, this is a great topic. But for me, the fact is I almost never listen to music when I ride. So we do once a month, there's bike party, and I only go to a few a year, and then they have a bike with a trailer and big speakers and stuff like that. And then usually on St. Patrick's Day, I bring my Bluetooth speaker so I could hear the Pogues, because nobody cares to listen to that anymore. So I'm like, well, ride around me, and then you have no choice. But so one, I'm curious from anyone who's like watching, do you guys put on music when you ride, and how? And then I think the other thing is, since both of us are people who ride trainers, do you listen to music when you ride the trainer in winter too? Because I almost always watch shows instead of listen to music.
I like to watch live music sets on the trainer.
That makes sense.
Yeah, particularly around trainer time, January, there's a pretty good hardcore festival down in Tampa, actually. Or no, I think they moved to like Orlando, but FYA Fest, and that like kind of sets up like here's all what the good bands are, or like the unknown bands that are going to break out this year in that style of music are all there. So like I will work my way through watching all of the there's people that record the sets and do mix the audio pretty well, so you get a decent sound. And like, so I'll go through and watch all the sets from that, or just some like I have like a playlist of just like really good high energy sets. A lot of hardcore sets are like 20 minutes, so the energy stays really high. There's not a lot of breaks or like a lot of like time in between songs, so like it's pretty good high energy, especially string a couple of those together. You can get a pretty good hour work at it. How about you? No, you do photography YouTube, right?
I mean, that's most. I found a lot of new channels on different stuff. One is music related. There's a guy who is like the ultimate Beatles and 60s nerd, but specialized in Beatles. He was more of a collection than an auction company. Then he started a YouTube channel, but it's like such a deep dive into the recordings and what songs ended up on what. Then also just how like sometimes they got sent the wrong take for the American version. So the version you grew up with on that like Americans know doesn't have the intro, the British, and that stuff, like that kind of like level of nerdery, like when I'm riding, like took me out of the, knowing that you're just like riding in the basement sometimes pretty well. But yeah, rarely ever on the trainer do I listen to music. Like it's almost always like, YouTube. And like I was saying, a lot of photography stuff, a lot of history stuff, but rarely bike stuff. When I watch bike stuff when I'm riding on the trainer, it's like I don't know.
It almost makes you think about what you're doing too much.
Yeah.
It needs to be like that big dissonance between what you're doing and what you're watching, I think.
Yeah. But yeah, so do you listen to it like outdoors? Like
I do if I'm riding by myself. I have those Aftershocks headphones that do the bone induction thing that I got for a good deal at some point. They're not great, but they're good. I don't know how else to describe it. I can go into more detail, but I'll do that. And then I have been known to be the Bluetooth speaker guy on group rides, but like usually not Saturday afternoon. This would be like our night rides. I will bring the Bluetooth speaker, and I have like some curated playlists that I'll throw on. But just again, we're not bothering other people. It's just our group riding, so it's sort of like setting the tone for our ride. Well, not bothering other people, but I hate the Bluetooth speaker on the bike path guy as much as everybody else.
Well, I think they're like, I've heard about like definitely because I've talked about this for some backpacking channels because some of this information is very relevant to bike packing, and they like in hiking, backpacking, the speaker thing is like a no-go. If you're that guy, you're an asshole. But you're so around other people because even if you're hiking faster, you're within earshot for so long. I've never felt as bad about the Bluetooth speaker, even though I don't do it very often, because on bikes, you're passing people so quickly and you're going to be ringing your bell and saying on your left anyways. And it's almost the same thing at that point.
Yeah.
And, the way you pass someone who's walking on a multi-use trail, your Bluetooth speaker isn't shattering their world because you had to do that anyways to make sure you didn't run into them.
Yeah,
so,
that's a good point. And with the Doppler effect, you're really not getting a lot of sustained stuff anyway from people. So that's a good point.
Yeah, because I had a friend, when we first started the group ride, I still do once a week and small ride. The one guy always had a Bluetooth speaker on, and it was not really a big deal because we were all people with similar tastes and stuff like that. And I just felt like it was so rare for anyone to be in our vicinity for more than 20 seconds. So, and then on the way back, we would always be on like roads that were not well. I mean, we weren't going to get passed by anything but a car, so it didn't matter at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was curious. Erin, I noticed she uses it for motivation nonstop, like doing the Michigan ride, where 55 miles and a few thousand feet was beyond like what she's in shape for this year. She did it actually and did it really well. But I didn't even realize it. Then I would look over and see her like mouthing something, and she has those bone conducting headphones on. And she would do it on tour too. I'd like say something to her, and she'd be like, "What?" And I was like, "Are you deaf?" And then it's like, oh, she's like getting through with like putting her favorite songs on, which is usually There Must Be a Place by Talking Heads. That's her. Like that's the one that pulls her through for some reason. So,
really?
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, no, I mean, yes, but also like, I don't know. That's such a laid back song. I have a couple that are go to, and I think this. I don't know if anybody remembers that follows me on Instagram, but I had like a whole shtick that I did with this at one point. But like, I would make playlists that were like an hour long of the same song, so that I could put it on while riding. It would just loop the song over and over and over again. Which, funny enough, Spotify will not let you do on your phone. There's like a way that you can trick it into letting you do it on the. I don't even think the desktop app. I think it has to be like the web version. For some reason, will let you keep adding a song to whatever. It was a glitch or something. So like, I have like a playlist of an hour of just like Overkill by Motorhead, or an hour of Be Harder by God's Hate. So I have made those playlists. I think those two songs get like I've Be Harder. I definitely listened to for like an hour straight on my last training ride before Mid South.
Huh. Interesting. God, when I worked on the farm, we had a little boombox that the corn packing crew would listen to. And there was like, a lot of times we just had this Hall & Oates greatest hit. But someone would walk by and hit the repeat button. And then it would just be repeating and repeating. And then I'd be in there lunch and I'm like, this is number 20. But like the owner of the farm, like just tuned out music. He couldn't hear it. We're like, you don't realize we just listened to Sarah Smiles 22 times in a row? Like,
at some point you lose track of it. It just becomes like a thing. I don't know. But that is, I think, also the point that I'm trying to hit. When you're doing that too, you're trying to kind of like get yourself into the hypnotic zone. So it's kind of the same song over and over kind of gets you into that. Overkill too, because I don't know, are you familiar with the song Overkill by Motorhead? Right,
yeah.
So it has the double fake out ending, right? Not just one fake out ending, but two.
Yeah.
Then it goes back in. So by the time the song actually ends and then starts back up again, it just sounds like a fourth fake out ending. So you kind of don't really notice it. It just keeps going, and that really works for that song. But I think that's like the perfect thing to ride to. It's just the right tempo. It's just aggressive enough. The lyrics are just dumb enough that you don't really have to pay attention to them. Like Motorhead in general, I think is a pretty underrated thing to listen to while riding. It really is that same like.
I could feel if I was like, I feel like if I was trying to like do some climbing and stuff like that, or just like keep my head down and ride, Motorhead would be the way to go.
I feel like it's more of a cadence thing. For climbing, it's too fast. And I need more like something that's like a little bit more slower, I'd say, because I can't spin that fast going uphill personally, at least. So I feel like it's more like, okay, you need to like just kind of get through a section of like flat stuff. Motorhead, way to go. Just kind of keeps that cadence going.
By the way, I saw Lemmy in Detroit within the year he died. So my buddies Eric and my buddy Josh, who's not around anymore, like they were like, let's do this. And then Eric's like, we travel so much, I have free tickets. So like we went up, we got to see him. We got to see him at the Fox Theater in Detroit, which is Detroit's like cool classic theater. And yeah, and then like I think it was probably like 8 months later when he died, and I was like, oh hell, because I had never seen him, so it was like, I'm so glad.
Yeah,
that
I never got to see Motorhead at all, so that's pretty sick.
And it was exactly what you expect. It was just 100% destroyed. Lemmy with a gigantic Rickenbacker bass, just destroying every song, and then and closing out with Ace of Spades. So
yeah, I just the microphone angle is so legendary, just like that.
Yeah.
What was the other song I talked about? Be Harder is like a song by a band, God's Hate. That is, it's kind of like, it's a motivational, like the whole life is hard, be harder, but it's just like, it's all about like not throwing yourself a pity party, kind of. And sometimes when you're deep in it, you kind of need that, like, no, fuck you, just do this. Like, just stop. You're on your bike, like, just suck it up and do it. I feel like that helps a lot. The other one that I put out a thing asking somebody that like knows how to edit audio to create this for me, and then somebody pointed me to a YouTube channel that essentially already did this. But I hate the song "Du Hast" by Rammstein. Like, it's just a lame song, but like that guitar riff just is too good. Like, and I don't want the rest of the song. I just want the main.
Is there a guitar riff in that song?
Yeah, I mean it's
Okay.
it's the main the.
Because I remember when that song hit. I don't know if it felt like they were trying to push like European techno
Oh,
is
it's
gonna.
synthy.
It was like
Yeah.
this is gonna be the next big thing, and we were all like, dude, this is just not gonna hit in the U.S. And that song was the one that did.
Yeah.
But it's just yeah. Anyway, sorry.
But I wanted somebody to just loop that guitar part
Uh,
and for like an hour, same thing. Like I just need
Yeah.
like a 1 hour of just this unbroken up thing. And somebody pointed out there is a YouTube channel called The Song Never Starts, and it's just somebody that like loops intros so that it never quite comes in. And so it even had like a little pitch shift in there, and where I don't know, where it's like da 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 da, and that was just enough to make the loop work. And so the only problem is you have to have like, if you don't have YouTube Premium, you have to have YouTube app like open and on your screen to like actually let it play. I at one point contemplated getting YouTube Premium just so that I can
You
play
should
it.
you should get YouTube Premium just for the simple fact you'll pay for it for the rest of your life. Once you don't watch ads on YouTube, you'll never go. They got me with the 2-month free trial, and the day it ended and an ad popped up, I like yelled out loud. I was like, "What the fuck is this?" And I'm like, whatever this costs, it's worth
It's expensive. Yeah, I feel like I've been tempted to do it a few times, but it's
they've gone up. But the other thing to remember, and I know people don't want to do this because it's like a thing, but I never had Spotify, so I didn't care. It comes with YouTube Music, and which is just now they've got everything, so I'm not missing anything. Yeah,
I already get Spotify. I know, yeah, everybody has. The guy that owns Spotify is an asshole. I agree, but I've been literally Spotify since day one. I got a code from a friend of mine who was Swedish. The first day that Spotify launched, I've been a Spotify user since literally the first day. I have everything in there. I'm like, I tried to do the title app because that's supposedly the best one for artists or whatever. Tried the free trial period, hated it. Couldn't work with it. So I undid it. Sorry, Brad, if you're in here. I know he always gives me shit about using Spotify. Forget where we were going with this, but anyway, yeah. But I also get Hulu for free with Spotify. So if I get Spotify, I get that. Anyway, long story. But yeah. So I feel like those are like three of my main go-tos that I'll loop for like a really long time and listen to on the bike.
Greg said, "In the woods on single track, I find it sacrilege." Yeah, I can't imagine going down a mountain bike trail listening to music out loud. That seems the opposite of what I was saying. How a bike path or a road, you're just not around people enough. Mountain biking, I don't think it's legit. So yeah.
You're also disturbing wildlife at that point that might not be used to getting that disturbed.
Yeah, single track and music, I don't think so. Put on headphones. I was saying one of the other things as a cyclist with music that's been a pain is noise canceling headphones and hikers and joggers, especially joggers, because they just start to veer and you're like on your left, 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 and it's like,
yeah.
Well, now I'm going to buzz you, then you're going to jump like you're scared, but this is your fault. Like, you know.
I had this person that was running down the middle of the path. It was fine, whatever. But like, I didn't have a bike with a bell, but I said like on your left or like a couple times. Didn't hear me. To the left was like kind of a pretty steep drop off of the path that's going through the gorge. She didn't hear me, so at that point I was like, well, I'm going to pass on the right then, because like if she gets spooked, she's going to, I don't want to get knocked off. So I passed the right, and then that got her to literally take off her headphones, and she started yelling at me for like, you don't pass people on the right. And I'm like, you don't wear noise canceling headphones that run down the middle of the path either.
Yeah.
Like anyway. We also, I try to look out for the joggers with the headphones, also like keeping an eye out for like a turnaround point, like a pole or like a thing, because a lot of times I've noticed even if you go to pass them on the left, they're doing that like hard pivot and like they hit the mile marker, yeah, right? Because our path has mile markers ever, and they're gonna turn. So it's always like okay, even if they can't hear me, like, are they just gonna like turn around in the middle of the path of that end of me? But I've been pretty fortunate so far.
Yeah, it is surprising. Like, I'm reading some of the comments as we go too. Like when I was younger, there wasn't a second I did not fill with music. Like like it was literally everything. And I remember sitting on a buddy's back patio, and it was a group of us, and there was a couple of their girlfriends around, and I looked at my friend Sarah, and I think we were smoking joints and whatever, and I'm like, do we ever talk about anything besides music? And she just looked at me, she goes, never. So it was just like, so I don't know if it's like I'm still totally into music and listening to more music and listening to old music and whatever, but I don't know if it's just a reaction from it being nonstop that sometimes that's why podcasts or YouTube videos like hit the spot as well now. And also, I have said this, and I don't know about, I think the same thing would be true on rides, but when I have to do a long drive, like when I was coming to see you, music sometimes isn't what I want to hear anymore because I understand the time of all the albums I listen to. And so it actually feels like it slows down time, whereas information feels like it could speed up time a little bit. Does that make sense?
Yep. Yes, 100%. I think audiobooks on long drives are a way to go if everybody's down for it. Sometimes it's hard to do that in a car with like
a bunch of people.
But my wife and I, when we've gone on long trips, this was back when audiobooks were on CDs or whatever. We would go to Barnes and Nobles and buy Freakonomics or whatever on CDs and have to like change the CD but that kind of like you're talking about though, there's only so much that fits on CD. So you kind of like start to gauge that by the hour. You like digital podcasts and stuff like that help with that kind of.
With a mixed group of people, that's hard because then it kills the chance for conversation. Where music, you just turn it down, you start talking, and that passes the time better than anything. So if it's me, Ben, Aaron, and Brad in a car, we're probably not going to put on too much of like a podcast unless it was like talked about or something. When me and Dylan from Columbus were coming back it was after Nutmeg, we rode down Long Island and into New York, and then we drove back from Croton. He started DJing like NPR stuff, and it was great because it was like we had already been on the road together for days. We have talked about everything we have to talk about. So it was like, and he was like, oh, is this cool? I'm like, oh, yeah, just keep going with that, whatever you got. This is all stuff I'll listen to. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. I mean, I've driven across the country twice, Biggie, and then also spent the whole amount of time we were out wherever in each other's vicinity. And I don't think we ever ran out of things to talk about. But yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, me and Brad tend to talk like when we went up to Michigan for the Handmade Bike Show. I think we talked pretty much the entire way, and it felt like, oh, we're here already. But then, and when you're with close friends, it's different because then you could also put on stuff for a while. Then you could also talk for a while. When you're with acquaintances, that I don't know, changes the. And then again, I'm talking about cars, but I think this would all apply to any kind of long bike ride as well.
Yeah, tour also. I think at one point we were listening just on tour to like the Just Ride audiobook at some point, just on like the Gap and Encino, because it was like, oh, well, this is not really music, but like need just something to sort of fill the space, and did a good hit the spot.
Yeah, I was hoping. So we leave next week, and we're doing, I think, almost 7 days of riding. And it's I haven't tomorrow I'm gonna set up the bike and look at my space, and I'm gonna do my setup a little bit different. So I'm hoping to film it as well. But I was thinking again about the Bluetooth speaker for even is there going to be some evenings where our campgrounds where no one's really around? Are we going to want some music? And then I was almost already hoping well, maybe one of the other guys will bring one of those and I don't have to worry about it. The nice thing is if you bring it, you get a little bit of first pick. You're obviously going to go with the crowd, but yeah, I don't know.
That's kind of why I also like driving on long road trips, because I feel like if you're driving, you get to pick
When Ben starts,
that's what I need to stay awake on a 15-hour or 13 hours into a 15-hour shift, and so you get to kind of pick what you want, which is nice.
When Ben because Ben will drive Aaron's car, I am I'll drive if you guys make me. I would never want to drive, that's why I have to. I'm so impressed with myself for going out to New York solo. But yeah, it's like when Ben sits there, it's like, yep, now it's yours. Aaron's gonna pass out in the back, and you volunteered to drive, and I didn't want to. Whatever you want to listen to, I'll deal with it. So, but.
So it's just a lot of math rock coming from Brad.
Brad curates playlists.
Okay.
Ben more picks stuff on the fly, I feel like. But yeah,
I'm really bad about that. We would start to create you can start a jam or whatever, so then other people in the car could put it on. But then we didn't, or at some point we realized if you hit do the voice thing and have it play something. But a conversation would come up and be like, "Oh, you've never heard this," and I would jump the ship and be like, "Play this," and then it would kill the other thing. I'm really bad about that. I have a bad habit of jumping from thing to thing. And I also want to be the DJ also, so I'm always they'll play something and be like, "That reminds me of this. Play this."
My friends who did that would drive me nuts. They would do it to themselves. They would be in the car and they'd be listening to a song. They're like, "Oh," and I'm like. Even if it wasn't my favorite song, I'm like, let the song play out. But that probably also goes with the fact that I'm an album guy. So me and Brad always argue about this because he's not an album guy. And I didn't know about this. He worked at a place called Earthquake where I actually photograph all their guitar pedals. Yeah. But so they would, I don't know how it worked, but they would take turn playing the music because back then they were all just sitting there hand soldering guitar pedals. And so they had some kind of rotation. And he was explaining to me, he's like, playlist people and album people are two completely different people. But then when we started being in a car together, I realized, oh yeah, that's so true. Because I'm like, you guys are weak human beings who can only listen to the best thing, and then you give up on the rest of it, and you never learn anything. These arguments we have that are just music arguments.
Well, I don't think they're mutually exclusive. I think you can thoroughly enjoy both. But you're right, there are people that are. Eric at the bike shop is a artist radio type of person, and I am very much an album person at the shop. So but the problem was I turned off the autoplay after because I kind of hate that.
Oh, me too. Autoplay in no aspect of my life is ever on. I
know, but the problem is we would play something, or I'd play an album that was 25 minutes long. It'd be over, and then we'd be too busy to change the music. So then all of a sudden it'd be 2 hours go by. We're like, oh, there's no music. That's why it's feels so so dead in here. But yeah, no, I'm definitely a full album person. I mean, I did. I think we talked about this. I did the 1 year we listened to 365 albums. Had to be albums.
Oh yeah, yeah.
The album, and I was trying to do that this year, but I had to give up because of the. Couldn't track it. I probably will get pretty close to it because I was trying, but I do I'm not while riding though, because again I don't want it to end. I need it to just keep flowing. So I 6-hour long playlists.
I've noticed the same thing you said in the store, which is a customer will come in and we'll start chatting, and then the music ends, and I don't like it being silent in there. But then I have to look at my screen and place it. Then I turn so that when I do it,
it's awkward. You can't start playing music in front of a customer. It's
I know
you're telling them I'm done talking to you.
Yeah. So what I've done is if I do, because I'm half the time when we're talking, because they might look at something I have, and so I do glance at my laptop and whatever. So I'm already doing that. But because I have my laptop hooked up to the speakers or whatever, so I will turn the volume way down and start playing something, so at least there's something on, and then I'm that's way too quiet, then I could slowly slide it up. But today there was a guy I talked to for 45 minutes and it was just quiet in there, and I'm
fair enough.
So yeah, do they have an album play? Could you make an album playlist? So up next of albums? I don't think
so. I've come across playlists out there, people that do that will put an artist's entire discography, but in order. Album
that wouldn't work for me. That's not how I listen to music. I don't I rarely listen to an album by one band then listen to the next album by one band. I might even put a middle one and then come back to that band, but yeah, I rarely would put on two albums in a row.
Oh, really? Okay.
Band. Yeah.
When I worked at a pizza shop, that was our Sunday move, is we would kind of agree on an artist and we would play their entire discography.
Huh. Yeah, I don't think I've ever.
Anyway, actually made for a really slow shift a lot of times. It was weird. So I don't necessarily think it was good. But here's a question. So in your shop, do you have people come in and browse, or is it more like if they come in, you're talking to them and helping them get what they're looking for, and they're either talking to you or they're out the door?
There's like even today there was a guy who came in. He was dropping off film. We talked about that. He had never been in before, so we chatted a little bit. He knew me from Bike YouTube actually. So, and then he wanted to buy some film. Then he's like, "Oh, I'll look around." But like really right now, like all the main stuff is on my counter and the film fridge is next to me. And then I have a lot of like vintagey stuff that's like camera adjacent, like vintage camera straps, vintage camera bags, some artwork, but it's not the stuff that takes up people's time. So once people come in and I could tell they're trying to just like browse a little bit, I let them do that, but they usually kind of do that at the beginning and then they gravitate towards, I need film. I want film developed. I'm trying to buy my girlfriend a camera. What camera? Like, so
Yeah.
it's not a very like place to like come in and casually look around right now. So,
Got it.
which I would like because that makes people more comfortable, but it just doesn't really work like that. You know, it's just,
Yeah. So you haven't had to do the pretend like just clicking or like making boxes on the computer just to make it look like you're busy while somebody.
yeah. I mean, I always have something to do. So even if it's
Fair enough.
browse the internet, but yeah, I mean, so I have when people come in and they're kind of going to look around and then I might just say like one of those, like you would at the bike shop, like, "Hey, how's it going? Let me know if you have any questions." Like,
Yep.
but if I could tell someone's like, "What's going on here?" I'm like, just, I've got some stuff, but the main thing is the film and the developing. It's just kind of what it is right now.
But yeah, so there's a tricky thing. If any customers are are watching, I love you all, and this isn't, but it's more like I don't want to jump in immediately. Just be like, "What do you need?" Right? Because like I want them to look around the store. I want them. We have a ton of stuff, and it's all kind of placed around in a way that makes you like benefits somebody going and like taking their time and looking through it. So I don't want to just like rush her and be like, "What do you need?" Right? So I give the same thing. I'm like, "Hey, how's it going?" Then I kind of like judge. Usually at that point, if they have something to say, they will do that. And I'm like, same thing. Let me know if you got any questions. But then my laptop isn't back in the office where I'm doing actual like laptop work. So if I'm just at the iPad POS system in the front, there's nothing I can do. Like I've already
so you do have to pretend to work.
So I have to just like kind of like hold the mouse and just look like I'm doing something. So it's not like I'm sitting there staring at what they're looking at, or I don't want to go in the back in case they do have something, or in case I see them lingering on something that I want to talk to them about. Like, so yeah, I just kind of have to sit there and pretend like I'm doing something at the other back.
Oh, that's funny.
So that's one of those times where if there's music going, it's fine. It's like not that awkward. But if there's no music going, then we're sitting in silence, and I'm just sitting here playing, pretending to do stuff at the computer, pretending not to like look at what you're doing. It's awkward.
Okay.
You just need to put water in, basically.
Okay. So you put the drain in and everything?
Yeah.
Sorry. Talking
Drains in.
Talking
All right.
drains in.
Talking drains.
Talking drains over here.
Looking drains.
This is the real business owner stuff.
It's holding on, but it's dry. I poured a bunch of water, so
Awesome.
you just need water lines.
Cool. Thanks so much.
No problem. See you next time.
See you next time.
So Gabe's doing drains and audio or videos.
yeah.
Man is a jack of all trades. Damn, true Renaissance man, that Dave.
Yeah, that's how when you've known each other forever. He's like, I'm not going to stick around for the stream, but 9:41. I was hoping he would be done just for his sake way earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when I started the shop in the winter, I would actually be legit working on the laptop. Like I would be doing my work on the laptop, and then so I since have moved my real office right behind the store. So now I'm doing my real work on my desktop with the multi-monitors and stuff. And I just put up one of those it's actually literally called a shopkeeper's bell that when someone opens the door, it kind of rings. But I usually hear, I could see like a shadow move in front because I have the same thing as you where the windows are towards the street. And so, yeah. So when I move over to the laptop, it's still a laptop that has access to, you know what I mean, all a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So a lot of times there's a lot of tabs open that are spreadsheets for customers or what I'm researching camera wise or film wise or stuff like that. So I still have all the tabs I would have open when I was on my other computer. So if someone does come in, and they look like they just want to like get their bearings, then I do actually like legit kind of go to work or whatever for a little
Sure.
bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Today I did an hour when I opened where I got some new cameras that are used cameras that I knew worked, but I wanted to clean up. So I was just sitting there cleaning cameras, and that's like what my vision is like I'm fixing stuff, I'm getting stuff ready and all that. So someone comes in, it's like, yeah, I'm hands on, like preparing, kind of like you were when I came in. You were folding T-shirts and getting stuff, the shop organized, So
Never a dull moment. Yeah. But I'm trying to. Sorry, I was reading somebody multi-CD player filled with soundtracks. That's
wow.
I don't know about soundtracks. I don't know. I'm not an OST guy.
I ignored the soundtracks part and was just remembering multi-CD players.
Dude, I was trying to find. Originally we were going to just do CD player in the shop, but like we just didn't have enough counter space to make it work, and maybe at some point we will. But I was really trying to find back at the old pizza place. We had a 100-disc changer.
Oh, those, yeah.
That you put in like vertically and whatever, and you just hit shuffle on that thing. Yeah. And it was just like, yeah, it was wild. And especially we had so many. That shop was half like metal dudes, half like old punk rock, like I don't know, like Johnny Thunders era stuff, and then half like Disco Biscuits jam band dudes. Like it was a real, like everybody that worked there, you had to be really into music, but everybody was into different music. It was really like
that's worse.
Crazy.
Me and Dave worked at the farm, we always said you're not allowed to bring in music you genuinely like because everybody else will hate it, and that's why we listened to a lot of Hall & Oates and Phil Collins and stuff like that, because it was like stuff that everyone could sing along to and had heard all their lives. But the moment someone like brings in something like, oh, this is what I'm into, like everybody else is miserable. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, that's a good point. Naptown, Blues Brothers, those don't count as like soundtracks. Those are just compilations.
Yeah.
Like to jump back to my soundtrack, just like I'm talking about like OST in terms of like this is like the music that's playing in the background of music. Some people love that shit. Some people, not for me. But if it's just like a soundtrack where it's like the Blues Brothers or like I remember the Godzilla soundtrack.
There's
like,
Train Spotting, which is a great compilation
those are
album.
Compilations.
Yeah.
Like those are not really soundtracks in my opinion.
And some are curated by really like like a lot of the Wes Anderson, or not a lot, a few. Not Wes Anderson. Yeah, some of the Wes Anderson, Joe Strummer from The Clash, like is the one who put those together. So it's like, yeah, you're going to get a good selection of always a lot of Kinks and Wes Anderson movies and stuff like that. But
I remember the Godzilla soundtrack for some reason specifically because it hit like a very coming into like being a music person, and it was, but like half the songs weren't even in the movie.
Do you remember? So I don't know if you remember this, but the Green Day song from Insomniac, which is not called Insomniac. They put for the soundtrack roars. The Godzilla remix, but it was the exact same song with just Godzilla roars in it. It was the stupidest thing ever.
Dude, yeah, it's like kind of better than the original version, though. To be honest, this is such a boring song. But yeah, but like that. No Shelter, right, was on that Jamiroquai. There was a good Foo Fighters song there, if I recall. That was like a good, but like none of those songs were in the movie. I remember because the soundtrack, the Puff Daddy one, remember with the Running Man soundtrack that was had Kashmir in the as the thing. That song you cannot find. I went back and found the Godzilla soundtrack like online, and that song has been removed from it. I'm guessing because Led Zeppelin eventually decided that they were the only people allowed to steal other people's music.
Yeah.
Anyway. But anyway, that soundtrack distinctly like reminds me of like that was the first time I felt hoodwinked by a soundtrack. This is just a marketing machine. This is just a whole bunch of like songs that were going to drop this summer anyway that they just like put into a Godzilla soundtrack so you went and saw the movie.
I don't think I ever.
Like everybody saw the movie.
I'm not sure I ever realized that they didn't have it. Yeah. God, that movie does not hold up either. It's so bad.
No, it was terrible at the time too. It wasn't good then. It was just like you. I was trying to explain this to my son, the whole monoculture thing, right? Like there's just movies in the summer where everybody saw them.
Yeah, you just went. It was summer
You just
blockbuster.
went.
Everybody went.
Right, Austin Powers or whatever. Or like
The first Austin Powers was a flop, but yeah, the second one, yeah.
But yeah, like, but I remember it was inescapable. It's just they had the marketing machine going, and
Yeah.
like you just everybody went to the movies at some point once a month back then. I felt like, and like you just
Yeah.
got to see them.
I also felt like when I was younger, if I saw something in the theater, I was not a harsh critic. I was like, oh, that was fun. I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, I even
Agreed.
seeing Godzilla, I remember like that scene where they were in the arena and then they all hatched. I was like, oh, that was good.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've watched it since then and I'm like, this all sucks. Like, like I saw
Vision
the.
Quest soundtrack. Sorry,
Vision Quest.
I remember my dad was really into that movie because he was
I don't know that.
a big cult, like wrestler, not like WWE, but like high school wrestling. I think there's a boob in that movie too. Hell yeah.
One thing we should talk about, since we are just rambling, which is fine, but
That's
like
fine.
the way I use the title, which I was thinking of, and it also another thing that ties back to, we've talked a lot about Aria and Ronnie's podcast last week. I think not this the new. I haven't listened to the new one yet, but they were talking about like gatekeeping a little bit,
Yeah.
and they were saying how there kind of is like a little bit of an alt cycling uniform and a little bit of a culture, but like if you don't have that, then you're not a culture or a group, or there's nothing that binds
Right.
you. So it was interesting to hear the take on, in a way it makes sense that people dress fairly similarly. And it's, again, to me, the whole thing, as long as you're not mean to people who don't, is
Right.
that's where it's
Yeah, yeah,
fine.
yeah.
But I was finding it interesting because when they talk about the music, and even talking to you, like stuff like, I feel like in the scene, which is not, it's very broad. It's not like a music scene, but I would be more of an outlier in general. Not that there weren't people I found who listen to music I like, but I've never liked anything with screaming. I don't like, if I can't like understand the lyrics at all, I'm not into it. Like I definitely like melody. I feel like any good song should also be able to be played on an acoustic guitar, even if that's not the way you want to hear it. You know what I mean? So I've always felt like it's interesting, like in the alt cycling scene, how much hardcore there seems to be. And even the logos, look at Higher Ground, that event, or a number of events where a number of brands will use that, like, what do you call that? Like, isn't that almost like death metal?
Death metal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I do not,
Which is, good.
I just don't enjoy it all. Like when we talk about Motorhead and talk about Motorhead being, they're famous for being such a metal band, those songs are so punk rock.
No,
They're
those are-
3-chord punk rock songs.
Motorhead is a blues band.
Yeah.
frankly.
It's just speeding it up, and that's what punk rock
Exactly,
is.
yeah.
The Clash are just taking
For
the
sure.
Kinks and playing it faster. Like
Yeah. That's fair, and I agree that, and because as somebody who is into such extreme music, sometimes you find kinship. Like it's rare to find somebody that like likes that stuff. So usually when you come across them at a bar or you see somebody with a t-shirt, right? Like I have to remind myself in Nutmeg, it's like, oh, that's like 50% of the people here. You don't have to get excited about every like band shirt you see. Like it doesn't mean we're gonna be best friends, but like if I see it like that in my town, I'd have to be like, well, we have to be friends now because you're into this too. But ironically, that's how I became friends with like Brendan from Super Tuck, because he was wearing a Midnight shirt and I was like, dope ass shirt. And we got talking and then we became kind of friends for that conversation. Have had that happen. I think that's how Tim Ho, Young Dirt, I was walking by and was wearing a Russian Circle shirt. He's like, hey, great shirt. And then we got talking, found out he was from New Jersey and da-da-da. So it's like, it is funny how much music has created a lot of my friends in the alt biking space as well. So it does go hand in hand, but I do like, I think it's just, but you're right. It's like, why should your interest in one thing lead so well into the interest into another? And I don't know.
And it does. I mean, it's the same thing. Like, I end up nerding out with people at Nutmeg about cameras all the time. Like, I was standing there talking to Joe Cruz about his camera, and then like 2 other people walked up and pulled theirs out of their pocket, and like it was this circle of people just like nerding out about cameras. You know what I mean? It's the same thing in the music space. It's interesting to me that alt cycling does have a hardcore soundtrack. Like, and it doesn't mean it's true for everybody, but it's definitely prevalent. You know what I mean? And it's interesting too, because like the scene is so mellow, And so for the music to be hardcore is very interesting. And again, this doesn't mean people are playing this at this event. Like, it means more about the band t-shirts we're talking about.
Yeah.
But it's like an interesting thing to me as someone who's not very into hardcore, and not in a negative way. Just the fact that it's like, I don't know, steel bikes and ride whatever pace you want and everybody get along. Also, I listen to hardcore.
But those are all like those are both, as we were kind of talking about, also very community oriented genres of music where you are kind of pushed as an outlier and like you find camaraderie there and community in that. And I think all biking is very similar. And owning a bike shop, it makes me become all too aware of how rare we are and how weird our little circle of stuff is, because it's stuff that just we think is normal. Working at a bike shop is just makes you realize how far off the beaten path even the most generic alt bike stuff is to most regular riders, right? And I don't think I knew that, but I don't think I truly realized how far the chasm was until opening a bike shop. But yeah, I think music is just. I was trying to explain this to somebody the other day. I think bikes end up becoming something because that you do with other hobbies. You know what I mean? Like along with birding or along with music or along with food or along with photography or along with stuff, right? Because I think it just lends itself to either because it's transportation, so you can use it to get to somewhere, or you're not really using all of your senses. Like hearing is a sense that isn't, always being fully utilized. So like you leave space for that, I guess. I don't know. Maybe that's a stretch, but I don't know why music is so intertwined with biking.
And I would also say, granted, like the fact that I'm saying like hardcore is not something of mine, my tastes, well, not like crazy outlier tastes, are definitely not mainstream tastes either. So I'm like, I'm also someone who's really into alt cycling, and definitely when it comes to music on the spectrum. And when I see someone with certain shirts, I'm definitely going to be drawn to them and want to talk to them, and I might say something and see if it leads to a conversation. So, which it definitely has. So, yeah, it's everyone's outliers, I think, in their own way. When you've found yourself in this group that seems like, which we've talked about on the channel before, and us predominant to me, until you go to a proper gravel race, and then you realize, there's 100 people in kit here, and there's 10 people on steel bikes. And
even at an event like Mid-South, like I feel like there's a bunch of them that just kind of found their own little corner and hung out, you know what I mean? And you can tell like people are just kind of looking at us like, not in a bad way, but just more of like, we stood out even within that, like, which is more of a punky kind of gravel race too, right? So, I don't know.
I said that about riding down 9W in New York. I just, the dominance of like Rhodian kit culture is something I just don't see. And it was like, it wasn't something that bothered me in any way. It was just eye-opening to be like, I passed 1,000 people on road bikes and kit today. I don't see the world like I'm in a bubble, and I just don't see it that way. And Akron is definitely a bubble. Not that there aren't roadies here, but it's just like,
that's the roadiest place in the world that you went through, like literally. I would be hard pressed to find like a more per square inch concentration of road bikers.
Yeah,
I said the country, to be honest. Like that's pretty crazy spot there. I don't know. The one thing I think is also interesting is what's weird to me is people that are into bikes, metal, and the Grateful Dead is like a very high percentage of people.
I've seen that too, and I'm like, man, because like I just like don't dig that stuff, and I'm like, how could you have those two? And like people should listen to a diversity of music. Like I feel like I still do. Like I like some stuff that is way outside of what I would have. 21-year-old Tim would have been like, what the fuck? Like, but,
Yeah.
But that stretch is so interesting. Yeah. I've always said this, and maybe I should retire it, but I always said if you like everything, that means you like nothing. I mean, there's got to be a yin and a yang. Like, if you really love something, there has to be something you really dislike, like to really have taste. That's what taste is. If you just like everything, I'm like, you don't have any taste, right? So,
I agree.
And I'm not putting that Grateful Dead and metal people in that, just a expression. But like,
there's the folks that will never see this, but So I feel that are have done the 365-day challenge with me. I think if I go back and look, there's probably 20 to 30 albums out of the 300. No, probably not even that. I think it's probably 20 would be the high end of albums that I gave 5 stars to, right? Like it had to like really blow my socks off to like give this rating 5 stars. 3s and 4s, I'm a little bit more casual with like, but I swear to God, it's like every other album. It must be if they do 365 albums, 150 of them are going to be 5 stars. I'm like, they can't all be that good.
No.
So but then you're right. But then I don't trust your opinion. With
Yeah.
every album
If someone tells you every restaurant they go to is great, you're like, well, I'm not going to ask you for an opinion on a restaurant. Like,
yeah,
they're not all great. That's not the way it works. Like, all beers aren't great. All food isn't great. Like, it doesn't make sense. All music is not great. Like,
I don't know. The Grateful Dead, though, it's probably just because I don't like the Grateful Dead, and also because I feel hoodwinked by the Grateful Dead because their imagery is so hard. Like, it's all skulls and, like, death and, like...
There's a lot of dancing teddy bears, too, though.
That's true. But, like, you know, like, there was the one with, like, the skull, though, like, the skeleton, like, holding the rose or whatever.
Yeah,
that was, like, I felt like really popular when I was in middle school. And, like, I remember seeing those shirts and be like, this is going to be the hardest band I've ever fucking heard. Like, finally getting a hold of it and being like, this is the Grateful Dead. Like... And I've never been able to get over it since. Like, I've just felt hoodwinked from day one for that band.
I don't know if this will with this slight age difference hit for you, but they had they finally had like a hit song in the 80s, and it's called Touch of Grey. And when I was a kid, I loved it because they're playing on stage, but then it like changes and they're just like, they're skeletons, and it's like, I think puppet skeletons, whatever. I've never looked into the behind the scenes, but they're almost like lifelike size. And it's just a great video, especially as a kid. But like Grateful Dead fans hate it because it's just like clearly they just decided let's make some money. I don't know, maybe.
Yeah.
But Touch of Grey, it's a pop song and whatever. So if you meet some Grateful Dead fans, and if you ever want to do this, you could take this even without knowing the song. And if they just be like, oh yeah, Touch of Grey. Just be like, oh yeah, I love the Grateful Dead. Touch of Grey is my favorite song. I was so mad.
I feel that way with people that are related to this Corrosion by Sisters of Mercy. And I'm like, how is that your favorite? Anyway, sorry, Sisters of Mercy song. They're such a poppy song for such a dark fucking band.
Yeah, and it's not to say that, and I think this is a total falsehood that just because a band had a hit, it's not their best. There are some bands that they broke through with their best song, and it might be the best thing they ever freaking do. But yeah, like this is like 1986, and it's definitely.
You ever listen to like the Sugar Ray record with Fly on it?
I have not heard the record.
Kind of a great hard alt rock punk album. I remember really liking as a kid, but it's like, and then Fly is like a huge outlier on that album, and then that became popular, and then they obviously reproduced that ad nauseum for whatever else. But like, yeah, the first like it was like an Inland Empire fucking sounding, bordering on stoner metal, like Kaya-y kind of record with that song just like plopped in there. Anyway.
My one good buddy Joshua, we always did the Touch of Grey thing, actually told me the first 2 Grateful Dead albums are good 60s records and they're not long extended jams. And I think I've heard them in passing and stuff, and they don't actually upset me or anything, and I'd probably be fine with them. It's just the whole, I don't know. Growing up in the mid 90s, the Grateful, like starting to get into high school in the mid 90s, the Grateful Dead were huge again, and the people surrounding the scene, whether they were the rich kids I went to high school with who were pretending to be Deadheads, or the old people still hanging on, were just people who turned me off. So it's less about the Grateful Dead than it is about the people who surrounded the Grateful Dead when I was 15, 16, 17, to me. Anyways, I'll throw you guys a bone.
Oh, Bradley just walked in that.
Oh yeah,
but he's not denying that. I don't know if he's listened to the rest of that.
I don't think how many people have. God, you are talk about an outlier. Like hearing Fly and then being like, you know what? Let's see what else this guy has on this record.
I don't even know how it came across the album, but yeah, the rest of the album is pretty good.
Brad, we're talking.
No, we're not. We're done with the Grateful Dead talking. But you know what? Hey, hold on. I want to we're not talking too much bike stuff here, but like not to call you out there, Rock Eastwood, but like I think the whole no pop country thing, no pop or country is a cop out. Like there's plenty of good country records. Steve Earle writes some great fucking music.
No, but when someone says pop country, they're talking about your mainstream radio station. So I agree, like, and that's why the term alt country exists. Alt country isn't alt country, that's real country. Like there's
Sure.
a ton of alt country artists I listen to that I really dig, but they're just influenced by, outlaw country, Willie Nelson, and all the, like, what I could, would think of as real country. So pop country is a term because pop country, like,
Well,
it's not a
he's
cop
saying
out.
pop and country, no good. Everything else is good.
Oh.
Like, or I listen to everything but pop and country, or like I listen to everything but country. I feel like that's a cop out. No, I'm not trying to single you out. That's something that I hear from a lot of people. There's lots of good country records.
Yeah. Oh, I see I see it was pop, country. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, but I think country has been so overtaken that now people, like, well, you just said it. Outlaw country is still cool. So he's like, yeah. When he said
There's
country,
some pop,
when
there's pop country songs. That's the Florida Georgia Line got some hits. Like they got some couple tracks. Like
yeah. And again, that's a tainted scene because this is the scene that when, like, what were their names? They said something anti-Bush, and it was like an uproar.
Oh,
and
the
like
Dixie Chicks.
Dixie
Yeah,
Chicks,
yeah.
and their career is over. And it's like,
or now when they go by, they're just the Chicks now. I think.
yeah.
Drop the Dixie thing. Yeah.
Just shows how, and that's how bad that scene already was way back then, and now it's become even worse. Like that, what was that song that was like, "Try This in My"? Oh man, there was a song a couple years ago during the Black Lives Matter movement. It was like, "Try this on my street," and I wanted,
try that in a small town. Yeah.
yeah, and I wanted to be like, no, try that in a upper middle class suburban neighborhood, you fucking piece of shit. Like that is like the biggest piece of bullshit. Like that was like the biggest, like, gaslighting song I've ever heard in my life. It's like, you live in a small town. Yeah, right. No, you live in a outer ring exurban McMansion. It should have been like, try this in my subdivision of McMansions. Yeah, because that's all that is. Anyways.
Somebody asked, did Jerry Garcia ride bikes? I know there's the Grateful
seen a
Dead
photo.
Gary Fisher. That's pretty big collector's item, but I don't know if.
Jeff from Wild's a huge Dead fan. Yeah.
And also a metal dude too. So
Yeah,
like,
that's- yeah, exactly.
That confusing section of stuff for me. I don't get it. I know. What was the other guy? I'm terrible with Grateful Dead. Is it Phil Lesh or one of the other people? I remember him talking about it because that's eventually somebody in the Grateful Dead rode bikes for sure. But I forget which one it was.
Yeah.
Because I think this conversation has happened before. Let's finish this. What music don't you like to listen to on a bike, or like what do you normally listen to outside of bikes that you will not listen? Well, you don't really listen to music on a bike anyway.
Yeah, but I mean, like I have, and I could still picture what I would if I was going to. Because I sometimes, especially if we've gone out and we had a couple of drinks and I'm riding home and I'm making my YouTube videos, I could hear myself in the GoPro like humming stuff and singing to myself. So it's very embarrassing. Like I don't ever put it in the videos. It'd be funny once in a while, but yeah. So is there something that I really like that I wouldn't listen to on the? I think whatever's moving me at the time is what I want to hear when I'm riding. Like me and my buddy Greg just the other night hang out after his band played. It just came out, the new Strokes record, but the single that's been out for a few months is just, we're in love with it. We're like this can't really be their best song, right? And we put it on the other night. We're like, it is. And so like, it doesn't, and that song is not like a motivating bike riding song, but it doesn't matter. It's just what I want. I just want to hear what I want to hear. I think almost at any given time. And it's not really, I don't feel like it'd be outside of that trying to motivate myself on a super hard day or something like that. It's almost always whatever I'm into is just always what I'm in the mood to hear when I'm in the mood to put something on. I even just getting my bike packing stuff together for our trip next week. I'm like, are there going to be any chances to have any beers at night? I don't know. Some of our spots are pretty out there. And I'm like, I'm going to put the headphones in case I jump in the tent, and everyone usually goes to bed earlier than me and I want to listen to a couple tunes, but it'll be whatever I'm listening to. It won't be, any different. So
yeah.
Is there something like that for you?
I would say I don't really listen to slam a on the bike. I feel like the tempo changes are too wild, but I listen to a lot of slam off the bike. Same thing with like Doom and Drone. They're too slow for bike riding, but I listen to it quite a bit off the bike. I don't know how interesting a conversation this is, but that's I don't know. I was trying to think of like what do I avoid, and I would say it's that with like the exception to the Doom part, like because stoner metal kind of gets lumped in with Doom in a lot of ways. So I would say stoner metal is still pretty good. It's usually pretty steady and long, and kind of like put you in that meditative state. That's another thing though. I feel like I would like drone stuff because I do like to like get in. Like we're trying to talk about the hour-long playlist and stuff to just sort of like get into a point where you are listening and like that whatever rhythm is like subconsciously like affecting you, but you're not really like you kind of hit that like meditative state or like hypnotic state with it, which I feel like certain types of black metal and drone do that. That's the point of those genres, like Paysage d'Ivière. I'm sure I'm saying that wrong, and like some of like the more droney black metal stuff. Like the idea is to put you in hypnotic state, but I can't like get into it on the bike for whatever reason. But I really wish I could. I've tried a few times. I think it's just the sound, like especially like gravel gets with the black metal like kind of tremolo picking becomes just too like broad spectrum, and you can't really hear it, and then it becomes difficult to even discern what's going on, and then which sounds like it would work for hypnotic stuff, but it doesn't. I don't know, whatever reason it doesn't. So tried it, that stuff, which I love normally, especially like driving. Can't get into it on the bike for whatever reason. There's like 3 people in the comments that don't understand what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That's pretty out there.
Bradley just brought up, he said, did I miss you all talk about obnoxiously loud music on the group rides? And I think, Bradley, it's probably different for you because we were talking about like listening to some music on the group rides, but that our group rides are usually more with people who would be accepting of whatever we were listening to, whereas being on Long Island and where you are close to New York, I feel like if I was with a very mixed group, I think playing a Bluetooth speaker with my music would be just a no-go. Like I wouldn't do it. So yeah, I think I would find it obnoxious as well. But like when I ride with my groups of friends, it's...
We're also talking about time. The time of day is important, right? Like,
yeah.
We'll do it at night or whatever, but not during like peak bike path hours.
Robert said, Neil Peart was a huge cyclist. Used to get off the bus like 100 miles out and ride to the show. Interesting. That gives me some level of respect for Rush because I hate everything else about him.
Really?
My brother listened to Rush growing up, and when he drove me around, I had to hear Rush, and I just didn't.
I've always been sort of mixed on Rush, but like the myth of Rush is pretty good. I don't know, like them as characters. The actual music, I'm like, the hits are good.
Yeah, I mean, it probably goes hand in hand with me now. Like, I don't know. I don't like proggy stuff, so I don't.
Yeah, same. Not my preferred metal genre either.
Yeah, it used to be like being in a band when I was younger, and like say you'd be working with people, and then it'd be like, hey, do you want to come over after work and have a beer? Or hey, do you want to come over after work and smoke a bowl? And then you'd get there with the person you were going with who you didn't know that well outside of work, but it didn't matter. And then their friend would be like, oh, you're in a band? And then they put on like the most proggy thing ever. And I'm like, yeah, I hate this. Like just because I'm in a band doesn't mean I want to hear like the boringest like guy like jerk off all over his guitar. So
Brad, I agree with you on that. Sorry. So the big, like, if we're going to do a speaker, it's got to be like one speaker, or you have to do the thing. Sorry, Brad, we were actually talking about you before. We know you hate Spotify, but like, there's a thing where you can sync up a bunch of speakers. So it all plays the same thing. That's pretty tight. But yeah, I agree. If you have a lot of people on the big group like that, but like in a 10-person group with one speaker, that kind of hits. As long as you're not disturbing other people.
I find myself playing my Bluetooth speaker during the pandemic a lot. Like I would be riding through the neighborhood and I would just feel like blaring some political ass, like Peter Tosh, like equal rights and justice or something. So
we actually listened to the Devin Heavy Devi in the shop the other day because Eric is balding and hitting the state. And I was trying to convince him we should get the the skullet like Devin Townsend had, and they had obviously had no idea who that is. I'm sure Tim, you don't either. But like,
Yeah, I'm gonna look it up right now though.
Proggy metal dude had a pretty intense skullet for a while, and was like, oh well, now we gotta listen to Zoltar, which was one of his projects. But anyway.
So is this the son of Pete Townsend?
No, actually, I don't know, to be honest.
Oh man, wow, that is a look.
You can put it up on the thing or not, but yeah, Devin Townsend, quite a look.
Skullet. I wasn't even familiar with that term. Now I know exactly
so
what
you
it
get
means.
the horseshoe pattern, and you just let it grow out.
And just not giving up.
He's just trying to convince Eric that he should do, because he's been shaving his he's got the horseshoe. He's been just shaving it. So I was like, dude, you gotta you let that go.
They said he doesn't seem like the type to ride the bike, though. But from the comments, there's been a lot that I wouldn't have expected to be bike guys. Someone did mention Talking Heads, David. I knew he was a cyclist.
Yeah.
But
I don't even know that he's a cyclist so much as he just
rides
gets around New York by bike. You know what I mean?
Which is the best way to get. Just the best way to get around New York. Yeah.
What's his name? Dude from Dinosaur Jr. Jay Vasquez was also apparently tours with the bicycle and goes out and rides and stuff like that. I don't know anybody else. The guy from Breaking Bad, the bad guy, Gus, I guess. I think he's a pretty avid cyclist, from what I've heard too. But that's not a band. I believe the band Darkest Hour were all bike messengers. So they claim to have the best legs in metal, I think, at one point.
Yeah, I don't really. It's interesting. I haven't really besides this kind of thing. I haven't really thought that much about if musicians were cyclists. I do follow I'm on Blue Sky, and there's a great account just called Cool Bike Art. And so he finds really good old posters, but then he also will do the happy birthday and find a celebrity on a bike type photo. So I probably learned more from that in the last year than anything else. One thing we do is we especially a few years ago, but even on Saturday, ride our bikes to see music. And the place we went to was more of a DIY venue on Saturday. And I didn't even think about it. I'm like, our bikes are going inside here. You know what I mean? We don't have to chain them up outside or anything like that. But we've ridden all the way to Cleveland to see music. And then we realized what a mistake it is when we're getting home at 2 a.m, 35 miles down the dark towpath through the Cuyahoga Valley. So
I think that's been my problem too, is there's one place that we could ride to see music other than cover bands at bars. But the problem would be then riding home. It would be a really pretty intense ride home on roads I wouldn't want to be riding on,
for local music and Friend Rock, that's all moving earlier into places that I don't mind doing it from. But yeah, to see major shows, it's more of an issue. Of course, Akron has some stuff. We're definitely not Cleveland, but there's some big acts will come through town or bigger things that you could ride to, and it's not a big deal. But someone said, we were just talking about him over the weekend. Alex Chilton from Big Star was known to ride for riding a bunch. Interesting. I didn't know that, and I do like Big Star. That came up because we were listening to the other guy from Big Star's music.
Oh, sorry.
Oh no, Chris Bell, who put out a few records but it was on, and I was like, man, I haven't listened to this forever. What is this? And he's like, Chris Bell, and I was like, oh yeah, Big Star. But
I've actually never really gotten into Big Star. I'm gonna listen to some of that tomorrow. Then
yeah,
obviously there's the song Alex Chilton by The Replacements. That
100%. Yeah, great song. Yeah, I don't know, I'm surprised it ended up hitting for me, because it definitely is very 70s, but yeah, it still has just I don't know, there's a couple songs that are just killer, like September Girls and stuff like that, but
well, it's been circling around enough that I feel like I need to check that out.
Yeah.
Skate punk was a thing, but there was a New Jersey screamo. So screamo is a weird term because screamo got co-opted in that early 2000s emo with yelling, screaming thing. But screamo, especially in New Jersey, it then became called scrams and other stuff to try to separate it from that. But anyway, very chaotic spastic music genre.
I think
but there-
BMX riders listen to a lot of the same stuff. Skaters and BMX guys have always fallen into the. We were always friends with all the BMX guys, and so there was a big crossover there, and yeah.
Well, more so that there was like a couple bands that were like bike core bands. One was called Off Camber, and the other was called Bury Yourself. That actually shared a couple of the same members, but they actually had a song, I think, Ultra Romantic Notions, I think was one of the name of the songs. Pretty early on, pre-pandemic, so pretty early into like knowing who Ryan Romance was. But they're still on Bandcamp. Check them out if you're into that type of stuff. They were both good.
Another band from New Jersey that got really big eventually, but before they were huge.
Bon Jovi?
No. I don't know. Maybe Bon Jovi rides a bike. They were playing in New York when we were in New York. Anyways, Bouncing Souls.
Yeah.
If I had money, I'd buy a new
If I
BMX.
named it X, yeah.
That was only on their second record, so that would have been late 90s. Yeah.
Yes, I'm like one of the few people from New Jersey that is like just okay with the Bouncing Souls. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan, but
I listened to their first two records, but then I moved on to other stuff. But I will still go back to Maniacal Laughter once in a while.
A Pudgy Pedal Pusher became a member. At Pudgy
Boy, we
Pedal
got a
Pusher
super fan.
celebrates 65 months of membership. Or skeet skeet gardam skeet ski eat gardam.
That's probably a music reference that I'm not getting.
it's a Little John too. All skis. I said, all skis. Got it. To the window, to the wall. The sweat drips down my balls. And Small Brown Bike. That was another cool band.
Small Brown Bike?
Small Brown Bike.
That
Post
sounds-
hardcore.
Huh. That sounds familiar, but post
Good
hardcore?
band.
That's a
Like
genre?
more punk, more true like early days of post hardcore where it was just like I don't know. It's a good band. Yeah, I feel like out of all the bands that we've discussed that are like that's one that might fall into a band you would like.
Because yeah,
Check out.
I always found there was a big, and I don't know how other people define this, but when like late '90s, early 2000s, when I was going to a lot of live show, like we would call like the stuff that we could deal with like hardcore punk. It was fast,
Sure.
and they might be like yelling a little more, but the same thing. It was still like, again, it was kind of like what we're saying about Motorhead. Like I think they're more punk than metal, and like a lot of these bands are more hardcore that are more punk than hardcore.
Punk
They
and
were just-
hardcore. Yeah, I agree.
they were just speeding it up even more and singing maybe a little harder, but the music still could have been played a little toned down with a little less yelling, and it still would have totally worked. So
Talking about like a Strike Anywhere type of situation, or what do you like? Give me an
Never.
example.
never heard of them. I wish I could think of an example, but they would all be so hyper local. You know what I mean?
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I mean, I could talk about just music forever, but I'm struggling to like get back to bikes.
Yeah. This Naptown said this bike is a pipe bomb. I do remember them rolling through the Manus. Man, there's footage of us playing at a show with them, but I don't remember what they sounded like. They got in trouble a couple times for the flyers.
I could imagine.
This
What like that's the name of a band? This
Yeah.
bike is a pipe bomb.
This bike is a pipe bomb. Yeah.
Ooh, okay.
And I'm surprised Naptown. Were they? Man, I thought they were such a small band. To hear that name again. I mean, I know Brad Visker knows who they were, but yeah. I think I can't remember their music. I know them more just because you never forget that name once you hear it.
Another post-hardcore band, Grade, had the song "Stolen Bikes Ride Faster." The chorus was "Stolen bikes they ride faster, but you always end up beneath the wheels."
Those stickers I sell that they say ride a fucking bike, but I used the bike where the U and the C would be. And so they're like, ride a fucking bike. That's a line from a punk band that was on Lookout Records, 15, if you've ever heard of them, like really political punk band from.
I know Lookout Records, but I've never heard of that.
The song's called Helter Smelter, but the gist is like everyone should send in their bikes to Berkeley. They should have or everyone should send in their cars to Berkeley, and they should use a smelter to turn them all into mountain bikes. But the whole end of the song is just ride a fucking bike, and so that's
Yeah.
And I Googled it, and someone at some point had made stickers, but it was like 10 years ago, and my design was different. So, yeah.
Of course, Brad got the great reference.
Ah, nice.
Nap down, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, I listened to a lot of Lookout Records. Yeah. U.S. Bombs, Gary Pearson. Nice. Yeah. But Dwayne Peters became like a right winger. It was crazy. Like huge Clash fan. All his stuff is like everything he did looked like the Clash the whole time. Like they're from L.A. Like we used to go see him all the time. Like just great punk band, like old school punk. And Dwayne Peters was a skateboarder. He invented the Disaster. That was his nickname. That was his move. And then like during the pandemic, he started posting all these Instagram like right wing, like pro Trump. Like it was like I think he went pretty crazy. But I mean.
I mean, I feel like a lot of people from the earlier era of punk did end up going Trump.
Huh.
You know what I mean? Like just the anti-establishment
Yeah.
type of stuff. Well, because I mean, if you're big anti-government long enough, then
Yeah.
Democratic Party really isn't for you either, right? It's like one of those weird catch-22 situations.
Yeah, didn't Johnny Ron go? Didn't Johnny Ron from the
Yeah,
Pistols go
for sure.
real? Like, and it's like, but again, that's one of the things that I've always found
I feel like
annoying.
that's to be a contrarian type of
Yeah.
thing. Like, you know what I mean?
And I also think that's one of the annoying things about like some of the because I always liked the Sex Pistols, but some of the attitude of putting like the individual thing so far above everything else, it's just I think it's bullshit. Like that's why I'd always be way more of a Clash guy or like stuff like that. It's
Yeah.
like no,
The
that's
Sex Pistols were a fashion show anyway. They
Yeah.
really were. Anyway, but you know, actually, I don't think I ever made this connection until you just mentioned it. U.S. bombs, is that supposed to be like a reference to Spanish bombs?
I wouldn't be surprised, but yeah, because it's like, yeah, I mean, but I'm sure.
I never connected those two dots in my head until just now.
Yeah. Yeah, they would come and play it like, yeah, they would play in Cleveland a lot, and he always loved playing there. But it was one of those problems you had that like skinheads would show up and like end up ruining the show. They got kicked out of the Yucca Tavern one night, and I remember everybody was just like celebrating that we could have fun again without like having someone like fucking pound their fist on you from behind. So it was all the suspenders, no shirts, America tattoos, like.
I had been avoiding the Oi stuff for the longest time, and like Oi kind of got popular again with like, but in done through like a hardcore lens with bands like the Chisel and stuff like that. And I was like trying not to get caught up in it, and then I don't know, I put on fucking Coxbar the other week, and like, god damn it, if I didn't go down like a rabbit hole like them in the business, and I don't know, just good to listen to it at like the shop, because that was one where they have good albums, but just like having not listened to a ton of it, was able to just kind of put on like hit one of those bands and just hit like play all of their like top tracks, and it was just like banger after banger. It's like, god damn it, these are good. But then I still can't get into for anybody that's into like the Chisel, just still doesn't do it for me, and like the newer like Oi hardcore bands, I just can't get into it. But it's a thing now.
Yeah, I wouldn't know about what has happened with it lately. I mean, I definitely know, like, I mean, it's like Sham 69 kind of inventing that scene back in the late 70s, which, yeah. And then who was the other, man? Wow, I haven't thought about Oi in a long time.
Basically, it's just Oi, but with more yelling, basically.
Yeah.
Like, just a harsher Oi. But the Chisel, it's a fun word to say it, the British, like the Chisel.
Hasn't there also been like there was one band that kind of blew up, and I can't think of their name. It's something like the Interceptors, but like another like ska movement kind of happening again. Like Disruptors, or there's another. And I'm naming every like most ska sounding name without where you don't use ska in the name of your band, like Lee Harvey Scarswald or whatever. But that was a very late '90s thing to put ska into your name in some way, and it like got so played out and it's way too many horns. Third wave ska.
Ska definitely knows how to beat a good joke.
Yeah. Interrupters. Okay. Yeah, I was close.
Well, Catbite, and like there was definitely a ska revival thing that happened a little bit ago, but I feel like that's already waned. Kill Lincoln, There was like a bunch. I feel like that was like 5 or 6 years ago, but that's already on its way out. If I keep my finger on the pulse of youth culture, I feel like I haven't seen that come up a bit. I do. That's a saying I have. It's like, because constantly I'm always like, how do you keep up? Like, I have my finger on the pulse of youth culture.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Zevron just said Scotalites. I remember them too. My college roommate was like
the
really.
movies. That one didn't even make any sense. I was like, what are you? That's not even a good one. But I was a ska head in the. Actually, I came late. Like, I got back into it because, like, for whatever reason, ska stuck around in New Jersey for a lot longer than I feel like other places. And so, like, even when because I wasn't allowed to go to shows for a while, and then when I was, because I had my own car, but that would have been like 2001, 2002, and that was like way too late for ska to still be like hanging on. But like, there was good ska shows all over the place in New Jersey, even that late.
You're still going to see the Pie Tasters?
We were still going to see the Pie Tasters.
That's the one I remember. My roommate loved the Pie Tasters.
Pie Tasters was the first show I went to in college. They were playing at the bar venue in our at Penn State, like the first weekend I was there. Like,
where are they from?
I can't
even remember. Yeah.
What's that?
Do you remember where they're from, out of curiosity?
No idea.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember early on their stuff was very third wave ska, but then it got a little more guitar driven later, right? And when I say later, I'm already talking 98 or something.
I've never listened to a single Pie Tasters record. I've seen them like 15 times because you just do. There were just some bands that we just see all the time for whatever reason. They're always playing, or always on opening, or always doing something. I don't know. Not 15 times exaggeration, like 3.
Sad Hugh, if you're talking about the Rosillos, but you just misspelled it from the 70s in the UK, I love them. But if it's Rayzillos, I don't know who you're talking about. But. The Scotalites are exempt from the joke. They invented ska, like literally.
Okay, not really.
I
mean, other than like, I'm not gonna argue. I don't know ska history enough, but like,
well, it's invented in Jamaica in like 1964, but
yeah. But I just mean like, no, you're not exempt. That's a pun. Like, you, even if it fits the mold, like perfect.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Pie Tasters are from Baltimore.
Okay.
Yeah, like the Mighty Boss Stones might have had like some fine stuff, but by the time I heard them is when that stuff was starting to blow up mainstream, and it was not good. So, I mean,
their live album we listened to a lot in high school, I remember.
It's like same with No Doubt. I didn't know they had ska albums before they became a big band, but that wasn't my thing. And when her brother was the guy who wrote the songs, then since then have heard a couple. I'm like, oh, they actually were a ska band. But with what they were putting out, like, it's so background. Like, the guitars are so not like you know. Yeah. Should we?
Is ska good? I don't know. I've never listened to ska while riding a bike. Is that a good? I feel like the rhythm's too off. You'd be like pedaling asymmetrically.
Yeah. I could definitely listen to, I mean, I feel like I could definitely like put on some Op Ivy and like haul ass, but that's
Op Ivy's not a ska band.
They're ska punk.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say that is a band that, like, I mean, obviously the Clash played ska, like other bands mix ska, but when it comes to the modern understanding of ska punk, it all goes to Op Ivy. Like, they're the ones who, there's no one who like that ska punk like that. Like, the Specials are two-tone. They're like pretty ska. Yeah. They're not punk. Like, you know, I mean, they're in the punk scene or whatever, but man, there's nobody who brought like punk and ska together the way Op Ivy did. That has become what ska, even when that band we just mentioned, which I now already can't remember, the Interrupters, when I only saw them on TV for a minute, it's like, oh yeah, that's like definitely Op Ivy, like, you know, whatever.
Yeah, Op Ivy. No, I love Op Ivy. I love Op Ivy. I just don't think of them as a ska band in my head.
Yeah. Take Warning's a ska song.
They have ska songs, but I just don't think of them as a ska band.
Yeah.
Personally. And even though I know I'm wrong on that, doesn't matter.
I hear you, because they play like almost hardcore punk a lot of times, but then they also break it down into ska at certain times.
Right, they use ska as like a break. So there's a band from New Jersey called Folly that also did that, and like, but like was like real hard, and then when just have these like ska interludes in the middle of it, not with horns. It's Brian's gonna have to back me up with this. Folly is the most quintessential Jersey band, I feel like, and I have to explain that to people a lot. But like the fact that they did that and it worked, and they were so hard, they were so good. They have a cult following. They still do like a reunion show every year. Everybody goes nuts. But like that is the through line. I think it's like, yes, you're using ska as a breakdown, not as ska as like a.
Which became
Yeah,
very
so-
tired later. Like it became like after a while, and again, like after a while, I was like, okay.
I feel like Big G and the Kids Table too did that too. I feel like a little bit.
Bradley said Tim Armstrong produced the Interrupter, so there you go, Tim. So
That makes
guitar
sense,
player
yeah.
from Op. Yeah.
Yeah. Are you a Rancid guy?
I have listened to Rancid's first 2 records, and I really don't know anything beyond that. And
Okay.
I can't deny that there are some songs on Out Come the Wolves that are bangers. Like Time Bomb is a great ska song. Yeah.
One Cool Guy. I still have that CD, and actually, you missed the beginning of the conversation where I said I brought a CD changer into the shop, and that was one of like the 12 CDs that I had. So I've been listening to very heavily to One Cool Guy recently, and that album still fucks real hard. At least the dude. What's the name of the first song? Sorry, Tim, you don't know. Brad, I'm talking about
Yeah. I'm just.
first song. Example, I think EXXXAMPLE. Anyway, sorry for anybody from New Jersey who don't know One Cool Guy, but
From
that was
downtown.
well, the album's called From Downtown. The
Ah.
album started with the sample of from NBA Jam From Downtown, and then went with this like sick ass guitar. The first song was so hard and good. And then like I just kind of listen to that song. It goes to the more traditional ska after that, which I was a little less into. But like that first song, fucking dude. Sorry.
Well, you know what? Some of my favorite skies, and this is going to sound so. I don't know how it'll sound, but when I like a lot of reggae and so obviously liking the Wailers and Bob Marley, going back and listening to the earliest Bob Marley and how fast ska they were playing, and a lot of the
Really?
songs are the same songs that they had hits with later. So the original version of One Love is super fast. It's One Love, One Heart, let's get, and it's upbeat dancing stuff. It's not
Okay.
so it's really, and they're
So
singing in their best American accents. Like it's like you can't help it sometimes, but like it's
Yeah.
really interesting. Like at some point, like you should like put up the earliest version of One Love when we get off this. You'll be like blown away to be like, holy you'll be like, that's Bob Marley, and then you'll be like, wait, that's the Wailers. Like it's
Do you just search earliest version of One Love? Like,
yeah,
is that
probably
how
it's like 1965. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
got it.
Yeah, so they put out like probably a good 2 or 3, like singles were the only thing in Jamaica, but like when they're comped together, there's like 2 albums worth of like ska Whaler songs, and a good number of them are songs that they took through all eras to the rock steady, and then later into reggae, then into dub even. But yeah, so that's one really good, interesting one. If you want to be like a reggae historian, like follow the Wailers from the beginning to the end, because you can literally hear the same song, like be a ska song, be a rock steady song, then be played in Lee Perry's studio, which is the most famous, like when dub is starting and stuff like that,
Yeah.
and then psychedelic that the Wailers did, and then just mainstream reggae as they might have found its way onto a later record. It's really, there's a couple songs where you could like put it on's one that's been on, like they did in every era,
Got it.
because there's always a new audience as they kind of grew. But
Huh.
Yeah.
I don't really listen to reggae, and I feel like the most that I've had to listen to was at like tattoo shops in the Audis, like listening to dub reggae, like waiting for somebody to get pierced or tattooed or something like that.
Yeah.
I feel like that's been my biggest exposure to reggae. What was it about tattoo shops in that area that's all they listened to was like dub reggae in the shop?
I don't have any tattoos, so I never even knew that.
I wouldn't either, but I was just found myself in them a lot for whatever reason. I was a good go with guy, and anyway, sorry. So Guns Not booking a Skyman for Guns Not Dead 4. Mickey was trying to book Peeling Flesh for Guns Not Dead at some point. I know because I got him real hooked on Slam over the course of a couple long road trips.
Yeah, King Tubby, Bradley's bringing up as like a good entry point into reggae. Yeah.
Okay. We'll check.
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe that's. I'll have to make our We'll be the bike shop that just plays dub reggae. We'll bring it back to that vibe.
Yeah.
Put a lot of Sailor Jerry tattoo flash on the walls or something.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I just. It's interesting. Like someone, what was his name? Gary brought up the Beach Boys, and when Brian Wilson died last summer, I grew up like my dad saw the Beach Boys at an amusement park outside Cleveland with Brian Wilson, not knowing who they were. It was so early. His friend was like, "Oh, this great band is playing at Euclid Beach Park tonight. We should go." And so he went and in the dance hall like they had at amusement parks then saw the Beach Boys with Brian Wilson still in all their striped, surfer shirts, and like then was a lifelong fan and was someone who took us to the beach for every vacation. And it was just my first concert ever was seeing the Beach Boys in the 80s. I think it was probably the tour when Kokomo was a hit. But anyways, always still liked the hits, like just unapologetic about it. Don't care. I love She's So Fine, my 409. I think that song rocks. Doesn't bother me if any. I think Surfer Girl is a great love song. But so I was like, you know what? This is a band that I've only ever listened to the hits. There's a ton of them. But so then last year I started listening to all the albums, like starting at the beginning. And then I stopped when it got to winter because it's just too hard to listen. Like I didn't want to listen to the Beach Boys in the winter. And then this summer, there's an album I've always like just skipped. So Brian Wilson wrote Pet Sounds, which was like this game changers. The Beatles loved it. It influenced all his music, and it was all he wrote it himself, recorded all with studio musicians. Then when the Beach Boys got off, the touring band got off tour, he had them do the vocals and all that. He's getting credited as being a genius and all this stuff. And then he starts hyping up his next album, Smile, and then has a nervous breakdown. And so the Beach Boys end up putting out an album called Smiley Smile. I had never given it a chance, being like, they didn't finish the project. This is probably just some bullshit record label thing. So I put that on this summer, and I'm loving it. They recorded it at Brian Wilson's house. It's actually lo-fi. It's still like carrying on like kind of the psychedelic and weirdness, but it's not a high-end studio musician record. It's a lo-fi record, and they made 3 records in a trilogy like that, all at Brian Wilson's house, that are all completely different and unique, and they sound like the Beach Boys because they're singing. But these 3 records are something that I had never paid attention to. There's pretty much no hits on. They threw Good Vibrations on the first one because that was a song that came out and the label wanted to have some success. But the next 2 like don't even have like top 40 hits on them. And I was like, what a weird thing to like someone who's listened to the Beach Boys their whole life find this trilogy of records that they made at Brian Wilson's house and just the Beach Boys wrote and recorded together. And I now think they're like great. So yeah, and they critically are now acclaimed, but were
I've never listened to those either.
Absolutely panned at the time. So like critics put them down, no one liked them, but now like Patti Smith mentions one being her favorite record, and they have this they've had this revival and re-release, which I didn't even know about. But yeah, so it's Smiley Smile, Wild Honey, and Friends, and they're just this trilogy of records that you would never expect to be, I don't know, just a weird, because they didn't sell.
Yeah, also boring album, or like kind of lame album titles also.
Yeah.
I will check out.
Yeah.
Side note, tie one thing back to bikes. So what is your take on bands at like Nutmeg?
It didn't work because everyone's trying to hang out.
Yep.
So that's why having Peter DJ later makes way more sense. So the year they had bands, it was like, and the one band I could hear from the background sounded good. Like I kind of wanted to check them out, but I was talking to someone I had just met, and then after that I started talking to someone I met the year before. And so it just didn't work, like
I agree.
I think there was just too much of a, if it was outdoors, it would be different.
That's what I was gonna say. If they moved it outdoors, then you can still hang out inside, or you can move further away from it. But it was too loud in the hall. I agree, 100%.
And it's too late in the season because if it's cold, you're pushing everyone out who doesn't want to listen to the music outdoors.
Yeah.
So that's
and as much as I love a good dance party, I feel like I'm just always too tired by the time I'm ready to like go chill by the fire, or it's too late and like I feel like a lot of other people already left to go hang out by the fire, and I want to go continue talking and hanging out and not necessarily like doing the dance party thing. So I feel like I'm always a bummer by the time the dance party rolls around.
I think, but that's why the dance party works. because if you want to do it, you can. And also, when they have the DJs in one end of the hall, I found because Aaron and Kat were hanging out late. I remember I danced for a few songs, then I went and sat down and talked to them, and then I got up and danced again. Where when you have like loud rock and roll bands, like they did the one year, there was no talking in there. You could
you're
not.
just gonna do the standing and watch it. Yeah, you're not really dancing or doing whatever. That's fine.
Yeah, you need I think it's great with the dance party because it's if you want to do it, you can. And I guess the same thing would be true of the band. You could go around the fire, but when it's a DJ, I feel like you could still be hanging out in the hall if you want to. So
I agree, but I feel like I would rather it be a little earlier. So it's like you could do that and then still go hang out. But I feel like you got to choose one or the other.
you do. Or you do what I did last year. You get completely wrecked at the dance party. Then you go up to the fire and then you meet a guy at Gunk's Not Dead who was like, yeah, we talked a lot around the fire last year, but I doubt you remember it.
I'm assuming I will still not be drinking and doing stuff by the time Nutmeg rolls around. So it'll be my first time in Nutmeg not consuming beverages.
Yeah.
But I feel like Nutmeg I never really got. Gunk's Not Dead, you and I both gotten overserved ourselves at,
But we did it like sitting around the fire. We didn't we didn't.
I
Definitely
think
didn't
the
make
problem
fools.
is because at Nutmeg or Gunk's, there's like very easy access to beer, so it kept drinking it. Versus like at Nutmeg, because you have to carry it up to the thing, so you never really brought that much.
Yeah.
So like at some point, the beer always ran out, type of thing. But
Gunk's is again, you're totally welcome if you don't drink, but that tends to have like a drinking vibe.
yeah,
Nutmeg doesn't. Nutmeg, you're like totally fine to go there, and like you're fine to go to Gunk's too. Like I want to be clear on that.
Mhm.
But like, there's not a predominant drinking vibe of Nutmeg. It's people having beers, or it just doesn't matter. Whereas I feel like like Miggy, he's a partier. The hosts are partiers.
although Miggy is usually did too much tincture and is falling asleep at the
Yeah. Yeah, you never know. Yeah. Yeah, no, it's. I think I do think that is like a good, like for bike events. If you want to have music, I do think it needs to be on an outdoor stage, so it makes it just so that could be the space there, and it doesn't dominate the other things. And they would have to be early enough because people do want to sit around fires, and there are people who go and that's what they do. Like they hang out with their crew around the fire. They meet the other people that want to chill around the fire and have that kind of night, which is one of the cool things about it. It just makes it so you really can choose your own adventure. You're not locked into any kind of experience there. So
yeah. I feel like Gunk's is a little bit different in that regard too, because there's only the one fire.
Yeah. One fire and one main hangout space, and that almost in a way, or just the
Makes
way
it more. Yeah.
and it's early in the season, so the weather kind of will force you
Forces
more
you
to
to
that
it.
situation. So
Yeah.
which I've found, which I like, but I could see if you were like, I came for like a chill night, it would be a little harder there. So
I think you just have to go hang out more in the pavilion.
yeah, which I think people do, but yeah, it's hanging out at night. You kind of want to be around the fires, but yeah, we had a lot of rain last year, so it kept the hangout was way more in the pavilion for more of the time. So yeah, weather so affects an event and what you're going to walk away with. There's nothing you could do about it. Just, you make the most. So,
It's the reality. Oh, before we end, do we want to talk, finish off tour talk and talk about the Femmes a little bit?
oh, sure. Yeah, because I don't know. I just keep hearing the predominant story of the tour that was boring, and then I just watched so many stages that were exciting. So I don't feel like watching the GOAT is boring. I feel like it's a privilege. But two, there were so many great stages that I just didn't find the tour boring. But that's just
I disagree, but I can see what you're saying also.
because
I felt like there weren't as many good like little side stories this year.
it came together a lot at the end. So watching Richie win at the end a lot was
I think
very,
that was a cool, watching Richie, and I appreciate that they changed the point system for the mountain classification specifically to prevent, like, I feel like they literally nerfed Tade on that by making it so that the ends, like, stages finishing on climbs or whatever, which previously were really highly point valued, were less, to make it less about, like, to make it so that he doesn't win like 3 of the 4 jerseys.
and it's not just him. I mean, that was happening with the yellow jersey a lot for a while. It's just you win.
So it was nice to see that payoff, and
Yeah.
I'm really happy it was Carapaz. I'm really happy it was an EF rider. I'm really happy that he got those 2 wins. So
Yeah, and the green jersey competition fell flat later as Mads kind of like dominated. So usually that's something. And like there's been other years where the green jersey competition has been close, and that starts to drive the way stages are ridden as teams are working to get their guy there. And that didn't happen as much this year, which I can see. You know, the last time Sagan raced and they, was it, who ended up beating him? It wasn't Jasper. It doesn't matter. But the teams were like Sagan's team was riding so hard over the mountains because he could climb mountains better than the other sprinters. And it changed the whole dynamic of the way stage wins were going and the way the tour was
which is
going.
kind of with Mads as well. Like he didn't win a single stage, right?
No.
He only won intermediate sprints.
Yeah. So it did help, but it didn't have as much. The green jersey definitely didn't have quite as much excitement this time as it has in other years. So I kind of get what people were saying, but if you look historically, like close GCs are rarer than they are, you know, the rule. So
I think they also got spoiled with a couple really competitive years there, right?
Yeah.
So it kind of like makes these seem. I think the last stage, I do like the fact that the last stage is in the throwaway stage now again.
Oh, it's great. The last stage, and this year was incredible. It was one of the most
that
fun
was
things
one of
to
the
watch.
best 5 minutes of bike racing I think I've ever seen.
It was
that
like watching a spring classic. Yeah, it was
crazy.
And then, I mean, it was just awesome. I mean, I've never seen Toddy look like he was hurting so much, like he was going so hard. And so the fact that they were doing that, and Vanderpool couldn't even get up for 5 minutes, like it was a great, just an absolutely great stage. So, yeah, I don't know. Overall, was it the best tour ever? No, but I think like people are over complaining about it. Like there was nothing. Like I don't think there was nothing. Like, you know, and now that Toddy's got 5, I want to see him have 7. Like I would like to see him have 8. I would like to put the Lance haters to rest. That people are still going to
take the asterisks off anybody's thing when somebody purely has it. I think it'll happen. I mean, because he is so. I think something drastic would have to happen for that not to be the case at this point. I think, and I'm sure there's been talked to some, but you know, like it's the fact that there was that early mountain stage that he got the jersey early and got way ahead, and like it kind of he won. And this sounds crazy. Yes, it is cool days to go, but like there were just so many stages where it was just like, oh, he's gonna win. You know what I mean? There really wasn't. No, there wasn't a lot of like. Maybe I'm misremembering, so correct me if I'm wrong. There really wasn't any good like breakaway wins this year.
Not as many, and he did chase everyone down on the super tough stage, which was totally designed to make Vingegaard have a chance. And there's no doubt about it. Like the Galibier stage
the 5
was
long category ones,
in the high mountains where Jonas does best. That was definitely designed to like at the end, hopefully give Jonas a chance. And we'll never know he wasn't there, but I don't think this year he was. Even with that, we saw it in the early ones. He wasn't going to catch Toddy. There's just.
But did any breakaway stick? Did any breakaway win? Did anybody win from the breakaway?
Well, I mean, Carapaz's wins were breakaway wins that were getting chased down by Toddy. The one that 19, when Toddy did catch them, like that, I thought that was exciting because you did have a break that was trying to stay, and they look like they're going as hard as they can, and Toddy is just in the saddle, and you're watching the time come down, and you're just like next level.
It's like, how did that go from like was it a minute 15 at the one point to like
But the giant breaks of the whole last week, like there were some, but they were never, the Peloton never gave them the time that they had in the past. That also came down to the fact that there were some people in the break that would have been able to affect the top 10. So teams were chasing more this year to keep their riders in that 5 or top 10 position because it is the tour and even that matters. So there was another race, nobody cares who got 9th. They talk about the whole top 10 or the whole top 5 in the tour. So
I do want to talk about Quinn Simmons, but not about what Ronnie already talked about or about his politics or anything like that. Just like purely from a race standpoint, I can't stand him. because in modern racing, breaks like that don't win. And like this year, he was actually a little bit more subdued. I'm guessing that had something to do with Mads with the green jersey, that he needed to be more part of that team and less just like, I'm going out in the break. But like last year when he was in the break every single day, and breaks at this point in the tour, like this era, they don't stick. Like, that's not smart racing.
No,
that's just like dumb American bullshit. And I feel like he does not do a good job representing us to the rest of the world when that's his thing. Is like, I'm just a big dumb American. I'm just going to ride hard in the front for as long as I can. Like, God damn it, we deserve that.
Yeah, and so EF, like a team that was like new stage hunting was what they were there for, still used different guys every day to try and do it. Like it was like, okay, like, you know, it's like, okay, Ben, today's your time to try and pull and see what you can pull off, or you know, or you're all working for Richie today. Like they did it as stage hunters in a smart way. They didn't send one guy up the road every single. I don't know.
But I think he wants it. Like, I don't think that's somebody saying try. I think that's, he's gone on record that that's his style. Like, whatever, which fine is a classics thing, but like in the tour, that's not a way to. If you're trying to win races, that's not going to do it. If it's a team tactic, one thing, but I did not seem like a team tactic in the past. But I think this year he, because of Mads, had to get pulled back. Anyway,
yeah,
but I like the break for the Femmes, even though it feels like, what do we do? Like,
I don't know. I was talking to Erin about this, and she was like, well, better promotion. I'm like, what's better promotion than the tour? And starting on like the day or the day after the tour, I felt I liked the full month of racing. This also bums me out because the Femmes are going to take place when I'm on my bike tour. So I'm not going to be able to like really fully engage or have stages on my television, which is what I would want. Because I work in the mornings, usually editing, so I could actually have the race on in real time. But that's obviously just a personal note. I feel like the week gap is not good for the race. I feel like you're losing interest. What you don't think? You think the week works?
I don't know if it works or not. For personally though, I'm ready to like have a break of like my mornings again, and then like come back into it.
I'll be interested to see the numbers on that one because it is like, I always feel like when the tour ends, I'm like, oh, what do I do? Then I'm like, oh, I haven't watched all the stuff that I like to watch, so that's what I'll do. But the first 2 days feel weird. But so maybe that is.
I've not been able to bring myself to get into the Femmes race because I think I'm like done with it by that point. So
that might be
I do need a little bit of a break.
Yeah, that might be the dominant attitude. I can only see it from, you know, like my perspective. I don't talk to enough people who watch both to know what they're feeling. So yeah, the ratings will show it all. I joked to Erin that they did it so you have to buy another month of Peacock. So who knows? I never rule money out of any equation, but
right.
Well, especially with ASO and the tour. But yeah. When it comes to the actual racing, it was interesting. I put on the GCN preview today, and neither Cy nor Dan Lloyd picked Vollering, and I'm just like, I don't. Even with what happened last year, I don't see anyone beating Vollering. And this is almost a one-stage tour as well because it's all going to be decided on Ventoux, or if it is the way that it went last year with Prevost just dominating on one stage. So I get that people are still like looking at her and she's been like working towards this one thing, but man, it's so hard to pick anyone but Demi Vollering, who the way she's been riding, I have a hard time seeing it. But yeah, it'll be interesting. I was surprised that nobody picked her on GCN. So
I don't disagree. Yeah. I don't know. I still haven't like picked the person. Like, I realized the other day I was like, I was going with Kasia, but that's only because I like the context of Taylor Phinney, and I realized it's not a great reason to pick somebody is because of who they're married to.
Well, I like her. I mean, she is involved in the alt cycling scene. She rides with Ronnie and Aria. Taylor is cool as hell. Like I was cheering for her before I knew the Taylor Association because I always felt like she rides with so much heart, like Julian Alaphilippe does. I don't feel like she's looking at numbers and being like, I can attack now because of the numbers. I feel like she goes when it's there in the legs. She's a fun classic rider to watch, even though she usually doesn't win. So, yeah. But I actually like the associations because it does put her in our world. Like me and Aaron have always joked there's a realm where we like watch those two walk into Nutmeg or something. But
Right.
you know,
I wouldn't be. Yeah. I mean, and the fact that they get mobbed, but I feel like they or would they? Would anybody even notice if Taylor Finney just showed up and didn't say anything about it? Like how many people would actually that are there would know who? Because I know that you and I watch it. And there's not people there. I'm sure there's a pretty large majority of the people there that have probably never watched the stage of the Tour de France.
no, yeah, yeah, and he like, and I started following him because the NBC coverage before I started watching European coverage, and now I'm back to NBC, obviously, but.
Mm-hmm.
They would interview him. I'm like, who is this dude? This dude is hilarious,
Yeah.
Like
he was good on the podcast, and also, I mean, just the thereabouts. I've always been like that. The one that he's on with Dustin Lachlan. I think that was what really like sort of like endeared him to me. So yeah, absolutely cool, and his art's good too.
yeah, he's. Someone brought up how about Peacock being the worst streaming app? Peacock's audio for any live event is off, and it's so annoying to watch a sprint where the audio is not in sync. All the Olympics were off; they're off every year. Like I don't on TV, so I
Got it. Because I'm watching the app, so I don't know.
yeah. And it's the app, it's the Fire TV app that I watch. It's never been in sync, and now I'm like at least 3 Olympics deep on buying Peacock for the Olympics, and it's the same thing. I'm like, how have you not figured this out yet? And how are not enough people complaining? Like,
yeah, fair enough. I've never noticed it. Maybe on whatever I'm watching on it doesn't.
yeah, and you really notice. So if you don't watch the commercials, you won't notice. But like when it goes to commercials, you're like, this is 10 seconds off.
Okay. So then it's definitely not then on the Samsung app.
Yeah, it's not like slightly off. It's
okay. Yeah,
way off. Like it's like in a sprint, it's like you don't want to listen to it. You'd be better without the volume because it's like, yeah, it's horrible.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I don't. When it comes to the coverage, I do think, man, the one thing that Americans do really well is television. I just miss the people that I liked watching. Like I preferred to hear the British comment. I liked hearing Sean Kelly and everybody else, and like that was. I just prefer the less explanatory. And like even in the European coverage, when the tour is on, they do more explaining than they will for other races because they know it's just more hardcore fans. But the U.S. just has to spend a lot more time like covering stuff in a way that makes sense to people who are casual bike fans. Whereas I don't feel like the what used to be Eurosport has to do that as much. So
fair enough. But so is it on NBC proper? It's not, is it?
I think NBC Sports has it on, and then they do like that, like how they used to, like they make it into a show for the evening still, which I think is what the extended highlights online basically are. So.
Sure. Which is, I'll be honest, because a lot of times the day gets away from me and I gotta drop something back camp and da-da-da. So like if it's a big stage, I'll watch it, but something like the sprint stages, I'll just like
put on the highlights.
Yeah.
I'll watch the highlights if I missed a sprint stage or a time trial stage. I'll actually watch Lantern Rouge on YouTube.
Yeah.
Channel.
I didn't really get to watch them much this year, but the NBC highlights does a fine enough job of kind of catching you up on certain stages. But like, yeah, the mountain stages definitely want to watch it develop. But I guess more of my point is I don't know who's casual that's tuning into that, considering it's not like you're channel flipping or you're an older person and it just pops up on NBC. Like you have to go out of your way to go to the sports tab.
It's the only race you watch.
I guess
in that way. So not casual TV viewer, casual like you're into cycling. Like you're probably a roadie. You watch the tour and you don't watch anything else. Like growing up, that's how it was. Like the tour was on NBC primetime in my house, but I had never heard of a single other bike race. So
that's fair.
Yeah, when Greg LeMond was winning, that people were watching it like they watched popular sports, but
yeah,
they weren't like watching him win the world championship.
I think we talked about this. I'm not like a class expert. Like the Tour de France is really the only thing I keep in touch with what's going on. I'll watch highlights or I'll like read, but that's the only thing I like appointment watch is the Tour de France. I just don't. There's stuff going on. Like honestly, I don't carve it like a Sunday out to watch the Roubaix. I'll watch the highlights. I'll watch all the stuff after the fact, but I don't like sit around watching it.
Yeah, for Paris-Roubaix, Otis had access to off-road trails that were never allowed to ride, and it was like invite only. And I was like, "No, that's Paris-Roubaix on." Like that's like one of the only like events where I'd be like, "No, I'm not going to go do something awesome on my bike. I'm not going to miss Paris-Roubaix," which is funny.
Hey, all right, I'm engaged, y'all. Sorry. People are saying I'm falling asleep.
It is late. I mean, we should wrap. We were saying we were going to talk a little tour.
We did, yeah. But I wanted to make sure we got tour talk. It was the last.
Yeah.
Next time we talk will be. But Fem's only 9 days, right? So
9 stages, yeah.
So it'll be over by the time we talk again.
Yeah, and they, I do want to, what Ernest said here about Tade working for Del Toro. That was Tade working for Del Toro to get him on the podium should silence anyone, because like one of Aaron's friends was like, "Oh, he's too cocky. It's all about Tade." I'm like, bullshit. I was like, watch, and it was the day of. I'm like, watch today's stage. Like he literally gave up a stage win, and you know Tade wants all the records. He gave it up. Like he had a shot. He had a shot. Who knows if he could have, but he could have chased down Carapaz perhaps. But no, he didn't do it. He like worked for his teammate to get him on the podium. So anyone who says like Tade's cocky or this or that you're out of touch. You're not paying attention to what's going on. So I agree 100%, Ernest. But
you're allowed to be confident when you are possibly the best cyclist to ever live.
The best cyclist of all time. And the reason I will always, this is a hill I will die on. Eddie Merckx numbers will probably never be broken overall when you come to just wins. But Eddie Merckx was racing against people who had day jobs. like, I mean, you can only race against the people who exist. And I always say that when someone's injured, and it's true. But like the level of professionalism, like they didn't used to race till the TV cameras came on. Like they were all riding together, chatting. Like it is from the gun, from the moment. And everybody is, now you take like a month off, and then you have 2 nights where you have a couple beers, and then you are back on your training program and nutrition and intervals, and it is just not the same sport. I mean, and I think most sports are like that, but especially like endurance sports, it is just, Eddie Merckx's world is not a world that is out there. Like it is just so different. Like it is so different. It is such a high level. Like if you're going to become a pro cyclist and you really want to, they're going to hook you up to like ventilators and science machines and be like, no, you don't have, your blood can never carry enough oxygen for you ever to be in the pro peloton. Like, you know, like these are freaks of natures. Did you look at the speeds? Like when like 10Ks out in the sprint stages, they're doing 40 miles an hour. Like the hill that I bomb down in almost every video, the brick hill, if I pedal into it and it's not windy, I hit 36. They are pedaling 40 miles an hour on the flat with people this far from you. Like these are not normal human beings. Like, you know, these are freaks of nature, all of them, everyone who gets over the mountains, you know? So yeah, it's, Tade, point being, Tade is the greatest cyclist of all time. And now having the 5th tour to go with that number, so it could be, you know, like I said, I'd love him to beat the Lance number eventually too, but yeah. And he finally beat the Alpe d'Huez KOM, which was held by Marco Pantani in the EPO.
Oh, really? I didn't see that. Okay.
So that was the first time that like the major climbs now are finally falling. And if you look at the tech, not just in the bikes, but even the jerseys, I mean, look at like Lance and like Pantani, their jerseys are flapping in the wind. You know what I mean? Like, that's insane that they just beat the EPO record now. And also, to me, the people who just love to come out and be like, they're all doping because they've never learned a thing since that era. To me, this proves that if that was the case, then why didn't they beat it 20 years ago? Like, I mean.
No, I mean, I think you're right. I think the understanding of aero and nutrition has gotten
insane,
so much further than they were, and I think that's the. But see, I look at it the other way, whereas that to me is like the asterisk on Tade is like those other guys were doing these things, well, they were doping, but but like they were doing it without all this technology, and these guys have the thing of technology. So I guess that is like the Merckx era is probably the last true.
Yeah, when people are just riding their bikes as hard as they can, but again.
But to your point, then
Merckx
the
was paid enough to be
competition-
full time, and like his competition wasn't paid enough to be full time. So it's hard to say.
There's an asterisk all over everything. I agree. You're right. You can't really do that. But yeah, no, he is.
And there's a
categorically
famous line, and I think it's actually from the 50s. Someone correct me if I'm wrong, but it's in French. Nobody wins the tour on Paniagua. No one wins the tour on bread and water. So this, like, when you talk about doping, were they doping back in the day like people do on EPO and like blood doping?
No, they're methamphetamines.
No, yeah. That's why there are riders who literally fell over and died back then. Like, I mean, so Tom Simpson, like it's, yeah, Roger Riviere going off the side of the mountain saying he's like, I was so fucked up, I don't remember what happened. So, yeah. It's hard to compare errors ever, but the level of competition, the playing field, the difference, even though we're talking about like to 10th place, it's 20 minutes. That 20 minutes is still so much a higher level than anyone ever was before,
Yeah, I agree.
And you'll hear people talk about like, oh, this guy's like a letdown. He's so slow. He came in 5th. And it's like, dude, they did a stage where they rode the whole thing at 33 miles an hour over 5 hours. That's
Yeah.
pedal.
Something to
Like,
talk about for another time, but it is interesting to see now I hate, it's good and bad that we all listen to the Ronnie and Ari thing, but it's like they cover a lot of stuff that I feel like we're talking about too, so it becomes redundant. But like the fact that Arrow has now infiltrated the like Tour Divide and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's interesting to see what's happening over there now that this is like really like the understanding of Arrow, I think, is really the biggest thing that is pushing a lot of these records to be broken. If you look at that and say like, okay, well, if it's making this big of an impact over here where these people are not as intense as these people, now imagine what it's doing to people who are that intense and doing other things. So it's like, I feel like that it's like Arrow doping is a big thing, but I want to call it that, right? Like that, and then how really dialed in on how much more they understand nutrition nowadays and sports nutrition in general, outside of cycling, just across the board, is far beyond what they were doing back in the 2000s. Even.
And that's what they're saying. They're saying there's these teenagers now who are putting up the numbers that the pros were in the 90s in the doping era. Like, so Pog just being someone who came into cycling as pure raw talent, and like they were saying, like a lot of people have said, even looked kind of chubby, and then getting to the point where he took on all this like modern, thinking is what's put him here. But coming up, I think we're coming back to a more level and more exciting, wide open field where it's not going to be someone like Pogacar going like at Strada Bianchi from 70 Ks out solo, and everyone watching him right away and being like, "There's nothing we could do." That era will be distinct to this era. So, one thing I want to address that Ernest says, I know we need to get off and go to bed, but everyone was doping, so it was pretty even. That's entirely not true. Most people who were in the pro peloton were doping, but after the team sponsored doping era ended, which is most of the Lance's Tour de France victories, that was shut down. Teams were not sponsoring the doping anymore. So people who were rich and well connected and could have a guy on a motorcycle with blood bags and HGH and get them through multiple people and over multiple borders were doping way harder and had way more access to doping technology than your average Joe. So the level playing field, everybody was doping argument doesn't hold water to me. And there's a lot of people that we will never know if they would have been great cyclists because they wouldn't do it. So I do, like Le Mans. You watch Le Mans win 3 tours and then disappear. Why? He wasn't past his prime yet. So, and there's a lot of people like Le Mans that
subscribed to the channel.
Didn't subscribe to it. So I don't know. I don't agree with the level playing field of everybody doped. So we do know who was the best from that era. Because if you said no, I'm not going to hang a blood bag over my bed and put an IV into my arm. Like, I couldn't do that if I wanted to. I would just pass out. So, yeah. Anyways, that's like one of the and I'm not Ernest like calling you out or being mean to you. It's a common trope. But and I understand why people think that. But I do think after team sponsored doping, it wasn't that anymore. It was a decision that every rider was making for themselves. So you didn't have a choice in the team doping era. You doped or you were. It's well known. U.S. Postal, Lance would get rid of guys who weren't going to be right there with him. So, but
Yep.
anywho, let's.
Side note, I was not tired. I realized when I was just looking at this, if I'm reading the comments long enough, it looks like
Oh, it looks like you're like going down.
because I have that on the laptop down below the monitor.
Yeah.
I was not dozing off.
Yeah.
I have yawned a few times, but not. I was not. I'm perfectly alert and engaged in the conversation.
Yeah.
This is a good one. Even though I know we talked about a lot about not bike stuff, but
Yeah.
music is probably the equal passion to
Yeah.
cycling. So
Yeah. Junito said, "What is more important now, aero or weight?" And
I think it's Arrow.
I would say aero too, because I just feel like even in like extended mountain stages at the top, at the highest level of the sport, weight does matter. But yeah, man, they're still riding so fast that aero up mountains matters. Like it's like
When you're riding, 12, 13 miles an hour up 20% grade, Arrow still fucking matters.
that's why people don't climbing bikes. They've kind of talked about climbing bikes almost being a thing in the
Or
past. There was
probably,
only
yeah.
a few on the tour anymore where that used to be a thing. You really rode a different bike on a hilly
Remember the
stage.
time trial where they switched bikes
Yeah.
before the last climb? That was a whole strategy that a bunch of people tried.
Yeah,
That was,
that's
what,
all
2
gone.
years ago?
yeah.
Yeah.
There was one team that brought climbing bikes, but and again, that was a brand decision, I'm sure, not a team director decision. Like they're not, they just don't mess with it. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, because it makes sense, because it works. I've always felt that the weight thing was overrated. So, I'm sure you felt that too.
No. Well, up to a point. Stop climbing. I'm certainly thinking weight's pretty effectively rated.
James Vath subscribed to the
And again,
channel.
like, I mean, you look, there was a big Tour de France Femmes, there was a big thing about Prevost losing so much weight before the tour. But man, you look at some of the dudes this year, Remco slimmed down, like people were slimming down, and that is still part of it. But if you're saying just one or it's not one, they're not mutually exclusive, but weight is a thing where you could go too far and lose power too. So
Right.
it's always a balance. Yeah. So anyways.
Great conversation. I feel like our friendship started a lot over music too, in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But maybe, I don't know. No, because we were talking and stuff like that, but I feel like the night that this live stream became a conversation, right? That was the Mountain Goats
Yep, it was.
Campfire Night, right? So music
Yeah.
very much was part of the inspiration, the evening that inspired this stream.
It was. Yeah. We were listening to the Mountain Goats and you were talking about your hatred of baskets.
In equal measure.
Yeah.
I'm doing a build right now with a basket on it, and I'm beside myself. It's gonna go out pretty dope though. I'll talk about it more in the future. Anyway,
Awesome. Yeah. Then, so next time we do this, I will be just back from my trip. So, yeah. Cool. All right, guys. See ya.
Okay, bye.
All right.
Cause
Yeah.
this is not
Fitzwater photo.